Well, there goes the Daverhood. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to everyone. Wow, that's a rousing applause. It sounded louder and stronger this week. That is a good crowd we have during the pandemic here. Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching, you've just tuned into, we have just begun the 814th episode, let me spin this a little bit, of Dave's Gone By. With me, Dave Lefkowitz, my darling and adorable wife, Joyce, and of course you heard the roaring crowd behind us. Didn't even steal that from Wait, Don't Tell. Oh, they're good. Wow. Listen to that. I wonder if anybody can join them. Hold on. Which one are you pressing there? No, that's the wrong one. It's extraordinary, ladies and gentlemen. The level of support, the level of excitement generated by this program. Now, when we said this is episode 814, this isn't like one of those things where it's season 8, episode number 14. Oh, no. This is the 814th episode of this program, Dave's Gone By.
2003?
We started in October of 2002. We are nearing...
Wait, it has to be earlier than that because
Why?
we left for Colorado in... Oh, no, when did... Yeah, that's right, 10 years. Okay.
Yeah, no,
I'm thinking 1998. That's too early.
98 is when we got married.
Oh!
Wow. 1996 is when we started banging. In 2002 is when I started doing this program. First, it was on terrestrial radio on WGBB out on Long Island. And then, look, where we are. We're back on Long Island doing Dave's Gone By every week from 9 until noon-ish or thereabouts right here on our Facebook page, Dave's Gone By. So welcome, everybody. New people.
It might be your Aunt Bonnie's birthday.
Is it? Well, happy birthday, Aunt Bonnie, if this is your birthday. Remind me, I got to tweet and call and say we love you, Aunt Bonnie, who has been on this program. Because family, whoever, I get bums off the street if we don't have guests. But this week, we have the opposite. A bum off the street. That's the nicest thing people can... it'd be great if a guest said, the nicest thing anybody ever said about me was I wasn't a bum off the street.
Aww.
But no, we've got a woman...
That's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
The lady guest that we have on Dave's
She's
Gone...
an academic.
She's sure a professor. I assume she was tenured, but certainly a very smart academic person and a writer. Her name is Marie J. Kilker. And the J stands for Jewish. So she's going to be talking to Rabbi Sal Solomon just a bit later in the program. But here's the deal. Marie, I've known her for probably 30 years. Joyce has known her for 25-something years. She ran, or coordinated, I should say, a trip that several theater critics took to Paris years and years ago. Had a marvelous time. This is when Joyce and I were pretty early in, maybe not our relationship, but in our marriage. And so if you can imagine taking a bunch of jet-lagged, crusty old theater critics.
It was interesting.
I was a crusty young theater critic at that point.
Did we all go on the plane together? I think we did because we all got there at the same time.
Well, so many of us were Easterners, so we would go to Kennedy. Yeah.
Because I remember we all met and then...
Well, I think we all tried to get to the same Paris airport, like Orleans, or was it Lyon?
Well, you remember the hotel, they were doing construction. We were lucky. Our room was beautiful and done, but some people heard a lot of noise and stuff, so the hotel couldn't accommodate us because the rooms weren't finished. So they put all our luggage in the storage locker, and we went to, Comedy dell'Arte and all around.
Oh, yeah.
we were in the Jewish Quarter.
We were all great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful about, just for various reasons, not that all the critics were Jewish, but we stayed, our hotel was in, quote-unquote, the Jewish quarter of Paris, which was fascinating, certainly for me and Joyce. And also, it was just this, I had never seen Paris, and it is the only time since that I've been to France or Paris. And so to get to go there and to have that organized and to go to several theaters and to go out to eat and to take a trip to Père Lachaise Cemetery. I mean, arranged all that.
We did a lot in a short amount of time.
Unpaid. It's all volunteer stuff for this organization we belong to.
But she and Jim, her husband,
yes,
Jim told me they used to take students, so we were a little bit better. And that one time Jim said, students, like when we were in Italy, students do naughty things. So one student jumped the turnstile in the subway, and Jim was like, "Oh, she didn't know that wasn't the custom." He got her out of getting arrested. Remember, we were getting
yeah. But that was Italy. That was a whole different. She wasn't part of that. That was was for the university.
No. That was in Jim told me that happened in Paris. That there were.
When they were taking students.
He said one of their students jumped a turnstile or something, and he's like, "Oh, she didn't know," and because we were doing the carte l'orange. Remember, I remember her who was.
Yeah, well, I remember also that. I mean, she was really, really helpful because we get to Paris. I'm jet lagged because again we can't go to the hotel. If we maybe got an hour of sleep on the plane, we were lucky. So we're all up for 24 hours, dragging ourselves in this new place, and then get to the subway. And she's like, "Okay, everybody, make sure you have your carte l'orange, your train ticket. That's going to be your pass for the next 6-7 days wherever we have to go." So of course, I buy one for me, I buy one for Joyce, I lose mine. So we have to go back to the subway, buy another carte l'orange.
And then Herb, who had, his hair issue, he couldn't read the card for some reason, so he was unable to write his name, and he couldn't fill out the card, so he's telling me to fill out the card, and then he's telling me that I'm talking too much. I was like, this is not a good combo.
Yeah.
He had a cervic.
We're talking about, by the way, another friend of the Daverhood, a late friend of the Daverhood named Herb Simpson, who was he turned out to be a friend after a while. If you were to look at the Daumier caricature of a theater critic, or what you think John Simon combined with something out of Balzac, this was Herb Simpson, and he was great, but you had to get past the persnickety aspects of his personality. Yeah, yes, he certainly was. He was a sweetheart underneath, but not overneath.
Unless you were.
Unless you say it out loud, Joyce, he's dead. Unless you're a gay young man, then
Remember, we were on a it was in New Orleans, one of those power boats, and we were sitting behind. Remember Ed, me, you, and Ed?
Yeah.
And Herb's hat flew off, and I caught it.
Yeah.
And Ed screamed out, "Oh my God, it's his hair!" Remember?
Because Herb used to wear a toupee. Yeah. It looked good on him, but it was very obviously not his hair. No, I mean, it wasn't ridiculous toupee, but it was a toupee. Nice. But, we were in a very windy boat, and it's just the hat went... Yeah. And someone, thank God, grabbed it. And
somebody screamed, I think it was his hair.
And it was this fantastic moment. But we're moving away from Marie, because we've had Herb on the show. If you want to hear the interview I did with Herb Simpson years ago, he was probably on one of our Tony shows also. Just go to davesgoneby.com where all our archives are. But this is about Marie Kilker, veteran theater critic, and someone who has written literally hundreds of reviews for the website that I founded, totaltheater.com, which gathers criticism from all over the globe. And so she was kind of the person there in not quite South Florida, but sort of, if I say Middle Eastern Florida, it's that's all the Jews who don't want to go to Israel are. But it's kind of middle Southern, Sarasota, that sort of thing, where Florida Studio Theater is, and the Oslo is, and West Coast Black Theater Troupe, and the Ringling people. I mean, it's that sort of area. So it's not down by the Keys, if you know Florida at all, but it's a bit up. And she's written hundreds of reviews. She's basically been, over 20, 30 years, a chronicler of theater in that area, which is kind of great. That was sort of the idea of Total Theater, not just have people in the big cities, but even in the smaller cities, what's going on. And you follow theater companies year after year, so you get a sense. If they're doing 3, 4, 5 shows a season, after 10 years, you can go back and read all these reviews and see what that theater had been doing for a decade. I mean, it's a tremendous research tool. But anywho, Marie, a very good writer, a very perspicacious writer, and since she has an academic background in speech and theater and English as well, that all came into play in the very dense writing that she has done about the theater. So she's very knowledgeable about that. She also has written and reviewed theater all over Europe, particularly France. She is bilingual. And so, yeah, pretty excited to have our old friend, someone I've known through the American Theater Critics Association since I joined that organization like 30-something years ago. She is alive and well, and she will be Zooming with Rabbi Sol Solomon in a while from now on this program. That's why we're calling this episode In for the Kill. Get it? One L there, because it's Kill for Marie Kilker, our guest coming up in the Daverhood. Now, unfortunately, Marie, she begged off. She did not want to do trivia with us.
She would have been great.
She would have been great. She's as smart as a whip.
Yeah.
And but she says no. She's at that age where just calling up words or remembering answers to things like that might not be the best for her. I tried to tell her that our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz has really nothing to do at this point with actually remembering trivia. It has to do with which answer of these 4 multiple choice is the most least ridiculous. Let me guess at that one, because half of it is a guessing game. It's all in fun. But we do have our Today, Yesterday trivia quiz. So since Marie has chosen not to participate, we took this opportunity to have a rematch. This is exciting. This is probably why the crowds were going so crazy before. Not them. This crowd. You heard them. This is why they were clamoring at the onset of this episode of the show, because last week we had something extraordinary happen. We had a first-time participant in the quiz, first-time appearance on Dave's Gone By, win the Today Yesterday quiz. He beat our reigning king, David Sheward, theater critic, former head of the Drama Desk, and a blogger as well, an educator as well. He beat David Sheward. He also beat Leslie Hoban Blake, who has won her share of Today Yesterday quizzes. Leslie Hoban Blake.
Competitive now. It's gonna.
Yeah, a theater director. She's also been a theater critic for 20, 30 years too. She's a podcaster now with our friend Charlie Gross. So here's the deal. This is there's a blood feud now. This is let's make it like a wrestling thing. In this corner, David Sheward holding the keyboard, typing stories about Carol Burnett and the new theater season. In that corner, Leslie Hoban Blake. Please make sure you have the parentheses around her middle name. Leslie Hoban Blake, the theatrical directrix, going up against our reigning champion from the week before, a Jewish fella named Moshe Denburg, the kid from New York and where was he? He was also in California and Israel and India for a while and Japan. Anyway, Moshe was on our program last week talking about his band Tzimmes, which does world music mixed with kind of a Jewy flavor. They've got a new 2-CD album out. It's also on digital formats called The Road Never Traveled. Well, Moshe from Tzimmes just shocked the heck out of all of us last week and won rather convincingly our Today, Yesterday quiz. Well, we cannot let this go unchallenged. He is going to be defending his title, his throne, opposite David and Leslie on our Today, Yesterday quiz. I've got butterflies about this. This could get... yeah, I know.
I'm scared.
Be afraid.
It's
Be
gonna
very
a bloodbath,
afraid.
I'm worried.
Yeah. So that will be exciting. Also thrilling today, our weekly segment, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, where we go to Greeley, Colorado for items that appear in the local newspaper there. It's called the Greeley Tribune. And here's what they do. It's a real newspaper, despite despite this headline. And once a week, they have two different columns. One is called Cop Log. They're about phone calls that come into the local police dispatch about weird things happening in the community, plus 100 years ago, where our friend Mike Peters goes into copies, I guess they have them on file or on microfiche or something, of the Greeley Tribune Republican, it was then called, from 1921, and pulls out the weirdest, goofiest, most nostalgic items. We mix them up in a segment that we call Greeley Crimes and Old Times. And last, but certainly least, our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. And this is where every week I have been writing a poem. Actually, I amassed a bunch of them. Now I try and keep writing them once a week. But a poem, a horrible, tasteless, sick, 5-line poem about a different place in Colorado. Sometimes they're well-known places like Denver or Pueblo or I don't think I wrote one about Pueblo. Pueblo's a tough word to rhyme. But Pueblo, yeah.
Oh, hell no.
Pueblo. Well, the blow part I can work with, I guess. Except it's already used in Pueblo. Anyway, yeah, they're Limerick, so they're supposed to be dirty and a little bit kooky with a punchline. So I've been doing them. Hundreds, well, about 170-something of them. Week after week after week, I share them here on Dave's Gone By. And this week, we are going. Excuse me, we are going.
Do you need tea?
I think I'm okay. I'm going to cut it.
I'll make you tea.
Yeah, actually, a hot tea would be lovely. Thank you ever so much. Wait, gotta do the gargle. It doesn't really work unless you do the gargle. Ah, that's lovely. So, our Colorado Limerick of the Week, of the Damned, excuse me, is this week we're going to Lone Tree, Colorado.
Remember the U2 song Lone Tree Hill?
Is it?
Lone Tree, what is it? Something Tree Hill. One Tree Hill?
Well, there was a TV show called One Tree Hill that I never really watched or anything, but yeah. So Lone Tree.
Can I use this cup? I'll go rinse it. Do you have a cup?
What I can do is I can pour. I think I know what I can do. Not sure what I can. You know what? Get rid of this coffee.
Okay.
Okay. Very kindly of you. Just milk it, and then a nice tea with the sweetness in it and the thing, and put some rutabaga in there and radishes. Give it some flavor. Anyway, let me remind you a couple of things before we even sort of begin. We want to thank. I'm going to be real careful about this. Because I've been warned by Altice Cablevision. Can I hold this up? Oh, I accidentally held this up from Hewlett Minuteman Press. Oops, nobody saw it. But thank you to our friends at Hewlett Minuteman Press, which is a copy and printing place in this area that I've used for my printing and copying for years and years and years. So I can't say, I can't advertise for them. I can't, even say that they're sponsoring the way public television does. All I can say is I'm very happy to know the Torong family that runs Hewlett Minuteman Press. All I can say is that they've done great work for me whenever I've needed programs printed up or my or Total Theater magazine. Not Total Theater's Performing Arts Insider mag. Oh, look! Oh! How did that get in there? Oh no! My magazine, Performing Arts Insider. So yeah, thank you to the Torong family and to Hewlett, the franchise of Minuteman Press. Thank you very, very much. What am I thanking them for? I can't tell you, because then I'll get a warning from Altice Cablevision when our excerpts of our shows are on public access. I'm just telling you, Hewlett Minuteman Press happens to be a company, happens to be a store somewhere in Hewlett that you might or might not want to go to maybe print things. You could visit
your friends. You could visit.
They're my great good friends.
Yeah, they're a nice family.
Yeah, known them for 30 years.
Don't they have a puppy you could pet and stuff?
Yeah, there's a dog in the store. The dog is not sponsoring this program in any way, shape, or form. Nope, absolutely not. And you certainly are not going to buy anything
Right.
from the
If you're-
dog. It can't work the
If
register.
you're going on a tour of Hewlett, it might be a place you go.
Right. If you're coming now that Americans aren't allowed to go anywhere, but foreign countries are allowed to come here and encouraged to come here, so we get our tourism back. If you've done Chicago and you've done San Francisco, if you toured all the great cities here, if you've been to Milwaukee, my gosh, why haven't you been to Hewlett yet? And boy, oh boy, Hewlett Man Press should be a stop on your itinerary, on your excursion. I think I've wink, said enough. Speaking of pilgrimages, have you been to our website, davesgoneby.com? As I kind of intimated, as I mentioned, one of the reasons to check this is not just to know what's coming up on the program in weeks ahead, but looking back on like 19 plus years of programming.
Or you could look like, remember that Asner interview? You could look for interviews of people who are the dear departed.
Well, that was the thing. Early in the week, or late last week, we lost a friend of the Daverhood, Ed Asner, from, of course, Mary Tyler Moore.
We lost a friend, not like that woman who does the tidying up show where they find things.
No, we didn't lose him in a crowd. Ed Asner, I think he was 91 years old, worked probably up until like the last really weeks. I imagine he probably died in his sleep when he was old. He was 91, but boy, oh boy, he's one of those people. Like, I got to interview, not for this program, but earlier this week or last weekend, I talked to Darlene Love for a piece I'm writing for Long Island Woman magazine, which is not a sponsor of this program. I just happen to write and work for them. Thank you very much.
It's very honey.
Yeah, let me just sniff it. So Darlene Love, is 80 years old. Now this is the woman, if you remember, she sang the song Christmas.
Take me home tonight. I don't wanna let with any money, right?
No. Well, no. It's Christmas, baby. Please come home. A Phil Spector number. She sang with the Crystals. She sang on Da Do Run Run. She sang as a backup. She sang on the Monster Mash as a backup. I
hope she's getting some royalties.
Well,
no,
not enough at that point. I mean, she was paid flat out all those years. There was a point when Darlene Love was she had already won a Grammy.
Wow.
She had those years. As often a backup singer, sometimes as a lead singer with these girl groups with Phil Spector. She was there. She was backup on River Deep Mountain High. And then in the 1980s, she was cleaning houses. Literally.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
she had to go back to being... And she didn't take it like, oh, how low I've sunk. It was just like, I need money, I got work.
I feel sad. That makes me sad.
Yeah, except think of all the people who clean houses who never got a Grammy.
No, I know, but they rip off a lot of people's money. Artists get, like, especially, that's not good.
And now she's in perfectly fine shape because, of course, if you ever watched the Late Night with David Letterman and then Late Show with David Letterman, they brought her on every Christmas to sing Christmas Baby, Please, I think it's Christmas Baby, Please Come Home. And it became this thing, this seasonal thing of Darlene Love. And then they did Leader of the Pack about her, and then she was on Broadway in a couple of things, and then she did 3, what's that, was it Lethal Weapon, the movie with Mel Gibson, and
something like that, Lethal Kill.
She played Murtaugh's wife in Lethal. So now she's fine. But she's still doing concerts, and this is all just to say that she's 80. So I'm talking to her on Zoom, and I swear to God, you'd think she was my age. The voice, what?
700.
Well, because granted, I seem like a 90-year-old Jew, but she is just like, there is no way this woman is what our image of an 80-year-old woman is, man. It's just like, totally everything, like, you can hear it in just the pipes that she has. That, so, she lived well. I guess she's treated herself well in healthy ways. And just like, no, it cannot be 80. She's 80. Right? There are people like that. And Asner was like that. If you watch him, like, a year ago.
He did the yelling thing. He yelled.
Well, that was his thing. I hate spunk. That was Asner. And he was in a reading of a play. Rabbi Sal is, of course, most interested in this. This was just like pre-pandemic, or even kind of during, because I think he did Zooms of this. A play called The Soap Myth, which was all about this old Holocaust survivor who was trying to force a Jewish museum. I'm kind of, I watched part of it. I didn't have a chance to watch the whole thing, but it was pretty good. It was him opposite our other friend of the Daverhood, Tova Feldscher. She's in the show too. I thought it was a two-person show, but there's other characters. So he's this Holocaust survivor, and he learns that this local museum that's doing a Holocaust exhibit, or it might even be a Jewish museum, is showing all the usual stuff, but they're not talking about this whole idea that Jews were made into bars of soap during the Holocaust by the Nazis. So it's driving him, to rage. And so, who do you get to play Old Jewish Rage, right? You get Asner, or Rabbi Sal Solomon, or eventually me. But so you see him, and he's just like sitting there, and he's like, you're lying, lies, and the persona, the voice, the man, when he was taping this live in person with Tova Feldscher, with everybody, he's 89 years old, right? He's Ed Asner. Every single inch of him is Ed Asner, man. So it was kind of, as you can say, oh, well, he was 91. Why did he die? He was 91. He was 91, but probably the day before,
he was probably yelling at someone.
Yeah. Day before, he probably looked and seemed 75. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's one of the things. So we bid farewell. If you want to see, hear our interview with Ed Asner just a couple of years ago. It seems recent, but I think it was like 2015. He was on this program, audio only back then. But check it out, Ed Asner on Dave's Gone By. You would find it in the archives, davesgoneby.com, DAVESGONEBY.com, and that's where all the archives are. And it is. So, I think one of the public services that this radio, video, podcast program does is talking to people, not 20-year-olds who are in the music business and suddenly famous, and not 40-year-old Hollywood, real popular hot stars. But on a certain level, we also try and talk to writers and actors and playwrights and comedians, and authors, designers. Trained chickens. As a matter of fact.
And what about your new potato? Do you want to show the potato?
Oh, that's it. But yeah. So here's a. Thank you, chicken. But this idea of, they're gone, but if you want to know something about them, if you want to hear them talk about their lives and joke around with me or Rabbi Sal Solomon, we got them. Right? You can probably find them a zillion other places on YouTube and old episodes of TV shows they were on in their heyday. But still, it brings me a certain level of, satisfaction that if you're curious about folks in your Oscar Brand, or if you're a theater lover and Carol Channing or Charlotte Rae, it's like, okay, they were on Viva Finkel. They were on here. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, for most of the years of this program, it was only radio, it was only audio, it was a podcast. We've only been doing, as a matter of fact, we started doing video interviews 3-4 years ago. And even then, I was on video and it was still audio phone calls because the whole Zoom had not really come into the public consciousness until the pandemic. And then during that pandemic, I think our first real Zoom interview was Ben Catcher a couple of years ago. That was the first time we actually had somebody zooming in and did video to video, even though we'd done a couple of other people like pre-recorded them and stuff. So since then, it's been an even greater repository. It's even more important to archive. And I'm not saying that the interviews that we've done with people who are alive are not as interesting and not as important. But let's face it, they will be more. It's like autographs. while they're alive, they're worth about this much. Oh, they're dead? Yeah. So now what we're saying, oh, speaking of new things that are almost alive, look what old Dave has. Look what came into the Daverhood this very week. I'm not going to show you the front because there's an address on it, but ladies and gentlemen, what do you think is in this envelope, my dear?
I don't know.
Really? You don't want to take any kind of a stab?
No, not at all.
Let's see. Oh, it has a little bit of a tail here. What if I pull the tail? Let's see what happens when I do that. Not much yet.
Is it a carrot?
Maybe I should reach in. Oh boy. I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is. It has a hat. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a potato. A brand new potato in the Daverhood. I know. It's one of the soft-eyed kind, which is different from this other recent potato we got, which is a hard shell round eye. You can kind of tell the difference here. Look at that. Look at that. He's got, let's see, more of a flattened, wider nose. Blue ribbon. Notice 2 pink ribbon. What else? How's the mouths? He has sort of a lighter, softer mouth. This one's got a real hard level black mouth. Let's try these. How's the tagging?
Are they both new?
Well, remember this is, you were making fun of this one because he's the really, really round one. I think they were going to make a tomato and change their minds last minute, so they made him. I keep wanting to show it to Joyce like this and not realize, oh yeah, she's actually watching the screen, so she sees it like do it here. So notice him. He does have 2 flippy tags on the bottom. This one is missing, apparently, the wash and care flippy tag. However, his hat is in pretty decent condition. Eyes are a little bit faded, so he was in a window at some point for a while. But, oh, his little footy and arm bally things are in good shape. He's in good shape. He's a good-looking potato. What do you think of new potato, relatively new potato?
I think he looks good.
He's fine.
Oh, you're asking them.
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, you're here too. No, this is potatoes. Look, and wonder and worship, ladies and gentlemen. Just beautiful. So yeah, it was a busy, occasionally difficult week in and out of the Daverhood. So when you end a week with a potato coming, that's, it kind of puts everything else into amazing perspective. And we got lucky this week. We because we had sex the other night. No, we got lucky in the sense that here we were, South Shore of Long Island, about 20 minutes from Long Beach. Not directly on water, but it's near Manhattan. It's islandy. It's East Coast, not far from the ocean. So who knew what was coming with the hurricane? And so, nobody's giving any credit. Maybe they don't deserve any, but, when we were living in Colorado, and there was the slightest storm or a hint of a storm, we would lose power for about 1 day, sometimes almost up to 3 days. We would lose power. And we lived in a community where it was one of these NORC things. It was a naturally occurring retirement community. You have people who were teachers 40 years ago, then lived there, they retired.
Workers, they're ministers, all sorts of,
Yeah. And now they're 70, 80 something, 80 plus years old, not always in the condition of, an Ed Asner or a Darling Love, and they're still living in the same places. And now suddenly these people are without power for 48 hours at a time, and this would happen 2 or 3 times a year. So Lord knows New Yorkers know what it is sometimes to go without power, Long Islanders as well. But this time, despite flash flooding, torrential rain, not a lot of wind, or at least in this area. But it's delicious. Thank you. But nobody's saying, hey, good on you to the power companies that we all hate, and pay too much to and all that. To say, well, oh, look what happened in, where was it, Rhode Island and parts of Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I think, who got hit? Some state got hit.
Some state got like hundreds, tens of thousands of people without power for days, man. Louisiana's going to be dealing. So this particular time, at least where we are in our area, it's not like the storm missed us completely. It came through. We had a lot of rain. I remember looking out the window at one point, and it's like, whoa. It was just wet before, and now there's real big puddles everywhere, just on the street. That's not going anywhere. So, just gotta say, good on you. Thank you. Nice job. I don't know if it's PSENG or it used to be LIPA, whatever the hell they call the power companies out here. Nice game. Now, maybe they got lucky. Maybe, it was just good news for them that our area didn't have a problem, but 15 miles down the road east towards Long Island, oh boy, then they have to get up in the buckets and cut the branches and do this and then get these people back on the grid and so forth. But, sometimes you just want to give credit where credit is due and say, thanks so much for not putting us in the dark or making sure that we didn't go in the dark, for having the infrastructure that means people didn't get flooded out or shorted out or, my God, how? I understand it, but I still don't understand how you can drown in your own basement. How did this happen? It was in Brooklyn or Queens. This family was living in probably an illegal basement apartment, of which there are thousands.
Yeah, but also, this is what makes me crazy. There should be egress. But these are, working class or probably poor people. I mean, rents are disgusting all over. How can people afford to live?
Yeah.
So,
if we didn't have illegal basement apartments, all our staffing, forget illegal immigrants, even legal immigrants who make probably $25,000 a year and have to live in New York, right? How the hell, with families, 2-3 kids, and what do? They can't even get the security or the down payment. Can they afford, $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom? No, right? You can't cram them into a studio. What do they do? Well, there's not a lot of sunlight, but it's a roomy basement apartment. You can subdivide it. You can live, and fine. Is it legal? Has it been inspected? Can you do this? Well, no, we'll keep it on the down low. That you live, we don't tell, you don't tell. Everybody's happy until water, I guess, goes so high it comes pouring through. I just don't understand.
Maybe there were gates on the window. I don't know how people couldn't get out.
Right. You come down the stairs.
They were sleeping. The only thing I can see, it's like carbon monoxide and stuff. Like if you're awake and you hear the alarms, but sometimes people are deep sleepers and imagine they were sleeping. Right. That's the only thing I could think.
But wouldn't you be alive up until the point when the water literally reached the ceiling?
But if you're sleeping and maybe what happens is the water's so high you can't move in it. How do you move in water?
Actually, because you can't swim.
And how do you get out? If maybe the stairs, I don't know. That's sad.
I'm still, it's a horrifying thing to picture. It's like something that would be out of that Gotham thing.
The worst way to die is burning, and the second way is drowning. Those are both equal. They're not a good. That's not a good way to go. I feel sorry for those people. That's a horrible way.
Tickling would be bad. I wouldn't like tickling. Tickling to the point where you can't breathe.
I know. I said the word fetish to somebody yesterday, and they're like, "Fetish?" I'm like, "Not a real fetish." I'm just using.
Who are you talking about fetishes with?
Nobody.
All right, just checking. But no, we lucked out on that. But did you see that video of New York of a subway platform in Manhattan, right? Where people are standing on the platform and it's kind of wet while they're waiting for the train. They're standing, and literally, this is how people drown. They're just hanging, waiting for a train, and it's like somebody opened a valve.
Yes.
And water just went.
And people were standing there until they realized they're probably thinking.
People are on their phones, and they're so typical New Yorkers. And instead of being like, "Run!" they're looking there and like they're nudging and someone's like, what? And then like a deluge, a wave, like you're standing, halfway past the beach line of the shore of a beach. And this wave comes cascading through. And they're still kind of just standing there, I guess, because they're stunned.
Yeah, they probably
like,
don't expect it.
Oh,
it looks
wave.
Like the last thing you expect to see in the subway is water. I would think it's some kind of art installation. And I knew it was a flood.
Yeah. And the subway, even yesterday, because when I drive into work locally, I put on WINS just because it's the only station I can listen to in the morning.
Does in the morning to get weather. And
although, by the way, I did put on our station yesterday morning.
And were they selling bio
7 o'clock, they were selling bio oil.
Bio oil.
Oh, the bio oil from David Squeeze on. We've Joyce and I have become obsessed with this radio station. It's a Caribbean radio station on the FM dial in New York. It's like 93.5 or 93.9, but I think it's 93.5. And it's Caribbean, a lot of reggae, a lot of soca, whatever else that music that
they don't do soca. It's mostly like some music and then some well-known DJs and then like some selling stuff, like the lawyers.
Oh, it's 90% selling stuff. And one of the great things is you have these Caribbean or I guess they're all Caribbean DJs, right? With the accents, and it's really cool. And I guess they're Jamaican too. And they're doing these shows, and they have the patois and the lingo. They talk.
That's not patois.
Do your thing. Can you do it? Can you? Because I can't. Can you? So they do say Ire, and they have all of that, but they're very distinct accents from the Caribbean and Jamaican regions, and then suddenly you get like this wise guy, either Italian or Jewish guy, and he's like, here is a good friend to talk about what you need in terms of taking care of your family. Yeah, well, thank you so much. Or like suddenly you get a Jewish lawyer or a real estate person.
Much, DJ Master Mix.
Yes. and irate to all your fans as well. Are you doing your proper estate planning? Oh, I know this is so important for the peoples to hear. Yeah, real estate planning.
Why are you now you're doing your racist South Asian one,
That wasn't South Asian.
I think that's the one you were trying
That was not South Asian at all. But my favorite thing about the station, because I like reggae music, but if I hear 2 minutes of it, it's enough. But
I like it.
Well, first of all, a couple of things. The DJs there, if they're trying to play a song that's 4 minutes long, they'll play about 2 minutes of it, because I guess that's what DJs do. They need to keep everybody's attention.
They do the air horn.
In the middle of the song, it could be a ballad. It could. Let's make believe they're doing like a Bob Marley. It's like, would you be loved? Would you be loved? Right? So they're playing something like that. But within 30 seconds of the song, you'll hear, would you be loved? Star Wars sound effects. And not even in time to the music. Not as if to make it.
What I don't get is this is like drive time radio. And they play like an ambulance or a police car, or they play a siren. Like, that's jarring. Like, it makes you want to pull over.
Yeah, because you start looking around and you realize, no, it's a sound effect.
Yeah, it's very real.
And it isn't like in the old days in, like 1950s Alan Freed radio, where they play the song would be like a minute and a half. The DJ would get on, and he's like, 50 seconds past the hour, here I WTAB, and the gong and whatever. This, they play all the noises during the song. So you literally cannot enjoy it's like, what? And then they'll play half the song, and they'll think the song is boring, so they'll go into another song, ruin that with all these sound effects, but at the same time, ruining everything. It's magical radio, because there's nothing like this on American radio. It doesn't sound like this. I listen to college stations, I listen to progressive FM kind of stuff when I even listen to radio anymore. And it's not talk radio. So we play a song, the DJ gets on, talks about the song, and then there's 10 minutes of commercials. Caribbean radio, this particular station, is like the 2 minutes of song, half of it's sound effects. The wired DJ gets on, and immediately they're selling something else. Immediately they say, brought to you by these because it's I think the station is probably 80% brokered, and so which means that the people are buying time to be on the station, and they're probably paying God knows $200-300 an hour. Even in this day when nobody really needs to be on terrestrial radio, they're paying that much money. So they have to find sponsors. And if you want to keep the sponsor, you've got to mention them every 3.5 minutes, right? Or else, to make sure that one person who's listening to your show actually goes, I think I'll buy from them. I think I'll give them a call. So the sponsor thinks, hey, my ad is working. And that's the cycle that goes on. But there's one guy, and he's probably on the air right now on this station in New York, this Caribbean station, WV something. His name is David Squeeze Anarchy. I call it Anarchy, but it's Annakie. And he is like, who's the guy from The Simpsons? Speaking of South Asian, what's his name? Apu. Like Apu works 10,000 jobs and doesn't sleep. This guy, he is selling mostly this concoction that he has whipped up probably in his bathtub called bio oil and bio this and bio. So it's this thing that you're supposed to take. It's not a medicine. It's not a, some kind of cure-all or anything like that. He's not making quote-unquote promises about it. But it's this supplement thing of vitamins and herbs. That's how we call herbs. That he mixes up all together, and you take like 2 teaspoons a day. If you're healthy, it'll keep you healthy. If you're unhealthy, it'll make you healthy. And it's replenishing. I'm assuming the FDA is fine with it, just because it's going to be all these things that, if you ate really properly, which is impossible for all of us to do, all these vitamins and minerals and chickens would be in our systems. But since we don't, you eat the bio oil. And he's a great pitchman, because he's like, what, I'm gonna, if you buy 1 bottle of the bio oil, I would throw in a bottle of it. No, I shouldn't do this. I'm not going to do this, but I'm going to do this. If you buy 1 bottle of the bio oil, I throw in 3 bottles free. Because he obviously has like this shit lined up in his garage. He's just praying for people to buy this bio oil. And again, and then he gets testimonials. He gets people calling in to say, they were overweight, they were pre-diabetic, they started taking the bio oil.
And everything. There was like,
yeah. It was like, Asner called. He was dead.
Well, you didn't watch. I watched John of God, he's a Brazilian, faith healer.
Yeah.
Who was, bad boy. Yeah. He had made some claims and did some things to people that were not good.
So he's careful about the claims. He's not saying it will cure anything. He will say that it will keep you in good health or help bring you back to good health if you just take this goo. And then there's other bio life products that he deals in. It's his company. But the fun part is that he is on this station a lot of times, obviously pre-recorded, because you can tell they're rerunning his pitches. But if you put on the radio station at 7 in the morning when I'm driving, there he is, selling bio oil. If you put on the station at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when sometimes Joyce and I go for a drive, or we were until my hours changed at work for the fall, there he is, bio oil! If we would put it on Saturday afternoons, after we come home, I get finished with the show, we go grab some lunch, we sit in the park, we put on the car radio, and the bio oil! And it's David Squeeze Anarchy. He doesn't stop. He is there, either pre-recorded, so he either has a sweetheart deal with the radio station, or he has a thing and brokered stations do this. If they don't have somebody paying for the hour, they'll grab whatever tapes they have, preferably something from an advertiser, and just, no one bought this hour, let's throw it on. And it'll be David Squeeze Anarchy again. So he is like the great hero of people who want desperately to sell crap on the radio, and he is doing it. So I guarantee you, I'm not necessarily, if you turn on the station right now, please don't, because you're watching this show, but I guarantee you, over the course of this week, put on this station in New York, 93.5. It's probably on the internet as well, Caribbean radio. And out of those 5 times randomly that you put this station on, you will hear David Squeezaniki hawking bio oil, or sometimes he's hawking somebody else's real estate plan or something like that. He what do they call it? He is a not a schlepper. He's a go-getter. You know, he's got moxie. And the interesting thing is, you see him, he's a good-looking fella. He looks really young. He sounds much older on the radio, because I think maybe his picture on the, that he has on his website may not be from last week. But hey, if the bio oil is keeping him young at heart,
that's great.
There you go. The bio oil! What keeps me young at heart? Well, getting a potato in the mail, doing this program, Dave's Gone By, having my darling and wonderful wife, Joyce, supporting me, having great guests like Marie J. Kilker, who's going to be on in just a little while in the Daverhood. She's coming on in about half an hour. And God bless her, she's already sort of in the waiting room just in case. So, but I want to get to Greeley Crimes at All Times first.
Sure?
Yeah. Because we also, we have at 11 o'clock, we come up on a hard stop. Or maybe, let's see.
No, you got to do the quick,
Yeah, no, let's do Greeley Crimes at All Times, and then we'll get Marie into the Daverhood with Rabbi Saul Solomon. And what else? And, of course, our Colorado Limerick of the Dam. So much, we just had so much fun talking about, well, nothing, really. Everybody made the joke that Seinfeld was a show about nothing, even though there was a tremendous amount of plotting going on in the last couple of seasons. But this show, first hour of this show, is nothing at all. We don't even get into our stuff until right about now, when we begin with our first real quote-unquote segment. We call it Greeley Crimes and Old Times, and this has to do with events that occur, or people at least see occurring around them in Greeley in northern Colorado, and they call the police. The police dispatcher notes the complaint down. It becomes public record, and the funniest ones go in the Greeley Tribune newspaper. Plus, our friend of the Daverhood, Mike Peters, who has been at the Trib for decades, he goes through the newspapers back in 1921. He wasn't alive then, but he goes into the archives and looks at what was published back in, August, September of 1921, 100 years ago in that town. We mix them up. We call it Greeley Crimes and Old Times. Fairly out indeed we. Yes, Greeley Crimes and Old Times, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Dave's Gone By Facebookio, Podcastio, Programmio of the stream, live on this first Saturday of September 4th, 2021. Are you ready? Are you feeling like a criminal?
Not really.
Here we go.
So high on the sugar.
Let's have some new crime, ladies and gentlemen. A caller. Oh, a caller. Hello? Hello? Oh, upside down. Hello. A caller reported a woman was outside of her apartment with 8 or 9 people after the caller's 2-year-old threw... Really? The caller's 2-year-old threw dirt in another kid's eye.
Ooh.
And the other kid's mom started a fight. I just love the imagery there. Sometimes the right word. It's not the dirt in the face. He didn't just throw dirt at the other kid.
Dirt in the eye.
Throw dirt in the eye. Yeah, well, if you throw dirt in someone's face, it'll get into your eye. Yeah. But I love the writing on that. This is an idea of 2 children. And and then that starts like a big family fight in the street. Yes, it's Greeley. And by the way, thank you to Morgan McKenzie of she's been doing, because every few months they have a new writer doing this particular column, so now it's Morgan McKenzie, and she's picking out some good ones. She also picked out this one, A Woman on 10th Street. Yeah, it doesn't sound like she called, though. A woman on 10th Street had questions about 2 things. About her grandson's clothing choices.
Fashion police.
and him being on probation. So in that order, I guess. And it's like, I don't the color scheme. He doesn't have a fashion sense. His tie is not matching really his shirt. Oh, and by the way, is he breaking probation at the moment by holding up that liquor store? It's like, priorities, ma'am. I don't know. A caller. Oh, a caller. We have a caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller on 13th Avenue. Hello, caller on 13th Avenue reporting a homeless woman cooking. Oh, this is good. This is good. The homeless woman was apparently cooking on an electric skillet in the park bathroom.
Nice. That's a good place to cook.
Isn't it?
Where do you think I cook?
Well, there's a lot of ceramic around, so it's unlikely to start a fire.
They have a plug. They have
a sink.
Yeah, a sink for washing your dishes.
Right.
I think that's great.
I sort of like to know what she was cooking.
I think that's very clever.
And this is actually true. I mentioned...
we saw people barbecuing on the handle.
Just going to say that, yeah. We went to our local park last week, and we're seeing, like, smoke. Right? So we park, to have lunch or just to talk. We park in the parking lot, and we don't get too close to people because we're still being socially distanced. But we like to watch the people playing tennis or the people playing handball, and we're noticing smoke coming from the handball court. Which, as hard as people play handball and people play hardball, they don't start smoking, right? So, like, what? It can't be. And it's not the ice skating rink. It's not the building that's in. That wouldn't be up now. So I'm like, I'm just going to, put my mask on, take a look. I start going down the stairs, and because I have my mask on, I don't really even smell it at this point. But then I can't help it, because people are now passing by the handball court, looking, and like you can see their eyes widening. So I pull the mask like just below my nose, and immediately it hits me. Oh my God, somebody is grilling steak, and literally in the back of these fenced off handball courts in this local park, right towards the back, towards the fence, but on the handball court, there's the guys right very, very close to the ground, maybe a foot off the ground, is a grill. And they're grilling steaks. And there's plates, and there's cups, and there's buns, and it's like, and utensils. And everybody's just walking around watching this, and is, first of all, so incredibly bemused, because it's like the idea of it. And because they're, just 200 feet away. If you stop playing handball, and you go over, like, to another part of the park, there's hibachis and picnic tables, where it's like, oh, this is meant for grilling. But these guys who are doing the exertion of playing handball, which is a very, very arduous sport, you can even say almost more than tennis, right? Which is a very heart rate accelerating aerobic sport. They are too lazy to take their grill and move it any further. I can't imagine. What if the ball bounces and hits the steak? And the ball goes here, and the steak goes flying up, and they start whacking the steak across the thing. But it was beautiful. But meanwhile, everybody's kind of looking at that because it smells so good. And I think that night I put a steak in the air fryer. I was just like, I got to eat this now. Oh, and it came out well, by the way. So here's the, however, give these guys credit. They were not grilling in the park bathroom. They were just grilling. Maybe
next time now they might have to.
On the handball court. Yeah. So listen, what else do we have here on Greeley Crimes at All Times? I want to remind you, by the way, that it is 10 o'clock even here Eastern Time.
We got a wow from Globe playing.
Hey, Richie. Hey. Richie, our friend of the Daverhood, former member of the 3rd Bardo band, back, I guess, in the late 60s. And by the way, Marie will come. She was in the waiting room. I think she went to...
Labor Day?
Well, I'm sorry, what?
Labor Day stuff we didn't mention.
Well, we have Labor Day. We also have Rosh Hashanah coming. I'm sure the rabbi will mention that. But,
Who's talking to Marie?
Oh, it'll be Rabbi Saul, of course. Of course. So we have that coming up in about... Oh, she just came back. So, but let's finish up Greeley Crimes. Excuse me. and old times. We still have more to do. We haven't even done any old times yet. But I'm reminding you that it is September 4th, 2021. I'm Dave Lefkowitz, and you're watching the 814th episode of Dave's Gone By. We're calling it In for the Kill in honor of our upcoming guest, Marie Kilker, who'll be with us in just a little bit. Okay, so here's some old times that was published in the newspaper old-timey years ago. Police Chief Ben Florence, well, he's in the news again. This time, he and his son were leaving the house early in the morning to go fishing. But they discovered that Chief Florence's auto had been stolen. And this is amazing. This was 100 years ago. He says, the chief said he didn't think anyone would steal the auto, not because he's a chief of police, but just because it's so ramshackle and old. It had no fenders, no windshield, and no tail lights. I think they call that a wagon.
Maybe they were using it for parts.
Maybe, I don't know. It's just kind of funny.
Or somebody took it because he was the police chief.
That is what I would really figure, yeah. Hey, by the way, the Cloverly Country Club. I don't know if you ever been to them, the Cloverly Country Club?
No, they don't allow women.
Oh, that would do it. It had a party last Saturday to which 14 members came. The entertainment was a game using only the words yes and no. What?
I think that's called
Truth or Dare.
Swinging.
Yeah, all right. Yes, here, take my key. The game lasted the entire afternoon. Did it? Yes.
I guess things were things really desperate for people desperate for entertainment back then?
Oh, yes. Was it a fun game? No.
Did they lock the doors?
Yes.
Did people believe in their free will? No.
Were people screaming to get out?
Yes.
Yeah. Were they allowed out?
No. Did they ever go back?
Oh, hell. That's how we would do it now. Heck yes and hell no is how we would play it now. Let's do something new criminality here. A caller on 10th Street. Oh, hello. Hey, 10th Street. A caller says, really? Wow. Okay, yeah, I'll tell everyone. The caller said that a woman in the caller's driveway was talking about witchcraft.
Oh, wait.
Unfortunately, some of these could go on longer. Were you indoors? Was she talking to you about it? Was she just standing there screaming about it?
Maybe she was the one who made the meal in the bathroom and she was bringing it over.
She was stirring it with her broom.
Listen, I'm a good witch. Don't knock witches.
I like sandwiches. They're good. Mm. Ha ha ha! And you know why I like sandwiches? Because they're well bred. Oh, because I'm well bred. I screwed up the joke. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Well, we're just loafing here on a Saturday morning. To say the yeast.
Don't bring up the bagel, please.
Oh.
Move on!
Let's definitely move on. All right.
Move on.
Hey, let's go elsewhere. Because one of the things that we do on Dave's Gone By every week is, even though this segment is called Greeley Crimes and Old Times and deals with news items out of Colorado, we also do one or two stories every week from somewhere else, odd items in the news. And this one was actually in People magazine.
Does it involve Elmo?
No, but this is kind of worse. And it's not really about the event itself, but the way they phrased it. That makes it wonderful. From People magazine, Dateline, Belgium. And this is the wording of the story. A woman who was having an affair with a chimpanzee.
Oh, no.
I'll read that again. A woman who was having an affair with a chimpanzee at a Belgian zoo is allowed to continue visiting the venue despite earlier reports. And I will say, on behalf of the writer of this article, that they put the word affair in quotes.
But what kind of affair was she
Well,
having?
according to Ilse Segers, communications manager at the Antwerp Zoo, A.D. Timmermans was not banned from the zoo, but rather asked to change her behavior around Cheetah the chimpanzee. Seegers explained that when Timmermans attracts Cheetah's attention, in the 4 years she's been visiting with the animal, she has deprived him of the bonding time he needs to have with his fellow primates. So this woman is having an affair with a chimp, kind of. And the problem is that she's taking too much time away from his bonding time with his fellow gorillas.
You should not have an affair with any kind of... These are wild animals. He's got other primates.
Yeah. It's really not a fair thing.
Hasn't she heard of Bumble or Tinder or something? I mean...
Now, here's the Cheetah was raised with humans at home and came to the zoo almost 30 years ago. Seegers said the zoo staff, more than once, has asked Timmermans not to focus on Cheetah anymore by blowing kisses and waving excessively.
No,
so it hasn't been, it's not like she's gone in the cage. The way they wrote this, and I know they did this, and they wrote the headline, and they probably called it her affair.
Don't you think that the other animals will get jealous and bully the one?
That's the problem.
That's what I would think.
You know, here's this monkey getting some pussy, and the other animals are like, you know, spread the love. You know what I'm saying? But anywho, I guess I can't blame her for seeing this animal and going ape. Hey, it's a monkey. So let's do another elsewhere story in the Daverhood. As we're doing Greeley crimes at all times, we're going to St. Henry, Ohio. St. Henry, Ohio, for this story, true story, that happened literally 3 weeks ago. Authorities say 3 brothers, and by the way, I thank Joyce for finding this story for me. Authorities say 3 brothers died on August 12th. They were not drowned in their basement, so no, this is in Ohio. They were overcome by fumes in a manure pit. That's how they died, ladies and gentlemen. Rescue crews found 3 men unconscious in the manure pit on that Tuesday afternoon on their family farm. The village fire chief says the siblings were fixing a manure pump before they passed out from the fumes. All 3 were taken to area hospitals and later pronounced dead. Manure pits, apparently, this makes sense, they're common on livestock farms, but they can produce dangerous gases like hydrogen sulfide and carbon monoxide. Who knew? You know, your family was raised, your mom was rural, she was rural Pennsylvania. Did they have like a manure pit that was toxic dangerous?
No, they worked in the mines. They had, a friend of mine said the young boys used to swim in these pits of, I don't know what kind of chemicals. I don't know, but yeah, there was like just mines and stuff. They didn't have toxic
manure.
They were below the ground. Like people weren't farmers; they were miners.
But who would know? Who would imagine that you would be in a pile of animal poo, and it wasn't just disgusting. It wouldn't just give you what's the thing that you get from touching like Clostridium. What do you?
E. coli?
E. coli,
yeah, you
right?
Shouldn't do that.
Something like that. Now, okay, you just bathe, but that you could inhale so much dreck and so much poop that it kills you. Who knew? Meanwhile, there was another story. Yeah, there was another story in the news that I looked up after this, because now if you go looking for manure pits, there are actually a lot of news stories about them.
Really?
But there was another poor guy. And you know the writer loved writing this story up. He had to rescue something from a manure pit, and he did. But when he came out of the manure pit, it was like caked. There was like shit caked on his eyebrows and his face. And he's like, he just died, and then, he was fine. He just dove in, and he dove out. He was fine. But he was like caked in shit. But he did not die, ladies and gentlemen. Anywho, moving on with a little bit more of Greeley crimes and old times before we get to Marie Kilker on on Dave's Gone By. A little bit more of modern crimes in modern times. So, a caller near North 50th Avenue Court reported a man and a woman came out of the porta potty together.
Aww.
The caller said the man was drunk and got into his car. So, I don't know. So the man and the woman, what would they even call that? Is that like the Mile Low Club?
I love that. I mean,
Really?
why not? You know, it's bigger than a bathroom in the airplane.
Well, let me ask you. If this was still sort of early in our relationship.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when all the hormones are going.
Yeah.
And we were looking to do, you know
Not
what.
in the bathroom.
You wouldn't go into a porta potty and have a little,
No.
Really? No, not even just second base.
Only if you cleaned it with bio oil. Only if it was cleaned and sterilized with the most
with the bio oil.
Efficacious.
I think that is the best way to get out of this segment, ladies and gentlemen. Greeley Crimes and Old Times.
Mr. Horace Greeley was no fool. I'm sure that you'll agree with me that Greeley was no fool.
What he is getting at is that Mr. Greeley was no fool.
Yippee-yi, yippee-yi, yippee-yi-yi-yi.
Yippee.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's just a little... Pardon me. No matter how much tea I drink or how much I gargle, still on a Saturday morning. But, yes, it is a little bit after, well, it's about 10 after 10 in the morning, Eastern Time.
Are we speaking with Marie?
Here in the Daverhood. In just a moment or two, we're going to have our guest in the Daverhood. She is a longtime theater critic. She is also a longtime educator, a college professor. And she'll be talking to Rabbi Saul Solomon about her life in the theater, her life in education, and whatever, her life traveling the world, which she has done, and her life during this past pandemic. She is Marie J. Kilker. We're very happy to have her in the Daverhood. We're almost as happy to have Rabbi Saul Solomon in the Daverhood. He's going to be doing the interview. Rabbi Saul, the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. Let's play a little music to get the rabbi in the Daverhood, and we'll have our interview on this episode of Dave's Gone By. Oh, shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Saul Solomon. I am the founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I'm thrilled and delighted and excited to be talking to an old friend of the producer of this program, Dave Lefkowitz, because he has been a theater critic for decades, and he is known this educator and this writer. She heard hundreds and hundreds of reviews can be found and read on the website totaltheater.com, so you're going to want to check that. I'm going to ask you also to unmute so that we can hear you when you start to talk. She's a longtime academic with, check this out, an interdisciplinary doctorate in speech and theater and English. She has spent 30 plus years as a South Florida critic, covering places like Florida Studio Theater and the Oslo. Lots of stories to tell. Also, we want to ask her about her amazing autograph collection. Is going to be really exciting. We are talking, my friends, I'm talking like Joe Franklin now, to the one, the only, Marie J. Kilker. Shalom, Marie.
Hi.
Hello, how are you? How are you on this fine pre-holiday Shabbos?
I'm fine. I don't know when I'm supposed to be pushing, but can you see me all the way?
I don't see your boobs, but I see your head and your neck. You look fine. You look great. And we hear you, and we're good. I love the backdrop. You're all set. You're fantastic. We're in great shape, and we have so much to talk about with Marie J. Kilker. So first of all, how are you?
Well, I'm as good as I could be, I guess, at age 88 and having gone through 4 operations last year.
Can you share what they were?
But other than that, I'm okay. I don't get around as well as I used to, but I'm still tethered to my walker, but I use it going to the theaters to review.
So have you've been back to the theater in person? Yes, you have gone to shows in Florida, right? In person.
Yes.
Like what? Like what have you seen since?
Just lately, I've been at Florida Studio Theater a bit, and I saw the Michael Bublé. It was a cabaret that was made into a main place, and Rounding Third, the play, and mostly cabarets and so on, because this is getting toward the very end of the season. Oslo doesn't start until October. They're coming on in October, although the conservatory, the FSU Oslo Conservatory, will be a little sooner. And also the Black Theater Troupe, which I saw in about 2 months ago. That one will start in September, the end of September.
Now, do you, in your reviewing, maybe not recently, but years past, did you go further afield to like Miami or other parts of Florida?
I don't go to Miami and anything because it's so far away, really, actually. And I'm now at a point where I don't drive very far anything. But when I get a ride to Tampa, St. Petersburg, which is about 50 some miles from my house, then I will go to the theaters there, particularly to Free Fall Theater in Pittsburgh and in St. Petersburg, and also the main Tampa Theater.
Now, let me ask you, in all the years, how long have you lived in Florida? Because you were from Chicago, I think. But how long have you been?
I am from Chicago. Yes, I was born and raised there, and I stayed at least with parents in some way or another until I was 30 and got married and left. And
left to come to Florida, right?
So an awful lot of my story of how I became a theater critic and got so interested in theater and so on comes from my work, my being in Chicago. And I grew up in a place where actually it was behind my father's office. He was a medical doctor and came from a poor family and, squeezed through. So he had his office on the corner of Chicago and Western Avenues. And I was in back of that. I was the only kid around at all. In fact, the Johnny Roncoli, who ran the saloon downstairs, the corner, always called me the kid. I'd go in there and get popcorn and pretzels free. But there was always there. And then later when I moved to a little bit farther west and a tiny bit farther north of that, there was always a movie theater a block and a half from my house, where there weren't children. And even when I went back into school and that, it was 3-4 blocks away, and most of the kids were not in my area where I lived. So I was a movie mad kid, actually. Spent a lot of time in the movies. And that's how I got into a theater that's filmed, if you will.
Right, yeah.
And so not having children around to play with and so on and so forth. I used to go about once a month with my mother. She would go downtown to Marshall Fields to get her hair done. She had a particular person there that she liked. And we would go to a movie there at the Chicago Theater, the Oriental, the Roosevelt, Vickers, and so on, all the theaters that were there. And at one point we went down and I somehow her mother lost her because after going to the film and then we had some kind of lunch and then I was following her around a 5 and 10 that was very big on State Street. And I lost her somehow following the wrong skirt, I think, around.
Oh, I've done that. Yeah.
And somehow or another, we couldn't get together and so on. So what absolutely happened was I finally got to the point where I could go home alone on the streetcar at the time. And everybody decided that I could go myself downtown to the theater if I wished to, because that would be a treat for me. So then I started going downtown to the theater on Saturdays. And one time I was about I think 12 years old, something like that at the time, 11 years old actually, when I was separated from her and got my own way down.
Right.
And I went to the theater and I met somebody outside one of the theater and said, "Are you going to get an autograph later?" And I said, "What is that?" And they said, "Well, you know, after the stage shows at the Chicago and at the Oriental theaters, they usually have a stage show after the movie. And then these people come in and out going to their appearance or coming out of their appearance before the next appearance. And we get their autographs." So I waited until September 11th, I believe, or September 14th. I still had that down, and went to the Chicago theater. And I don't remember what I said. I think it was "So Proudly We Hail," but which was a wartime show. And I went to the backstage and I got some autographs. My first autograph was from a member of the Louis Jourdan and his Symphony 5, which was a prominent Black theater group, singing and instrumental group. And I also got his Louis Jourdan's autograph too, but the first one I got was from a person in his place. So
now you have
it here, in fact. Just a moment.
Marie Kilker is talking about the beginnings of her autograph collection, which she has in a book, and we're going to be talking about like big movie people and theater people too.
Very first autograph I got.
Yeah. Okay, hold a little closer if you can.
It was a man named Ed Rosen. He was the trumpeter player there. So by that time, see, I knew about this thing, so I had bought a little autograph book. It's all falling apart now, but I've got a whole bunch of it. What I learned very much was to take other pieces of paper with me, little notebooks and everything, in case I couldn't get things. So an awful lot of my autograph books have things pasted in them.
Well, so you have several. It's not just that book. You have several different books.
And that particular time, I also got an autograph of a new up-and-coming singer who was the featured singer, Perry Como.
Wow.
So I have his autograph, and I also took a picture of him. I had a little camera with me.
Oh.
So I've got those still. Okay. So I started doing this every day. And what I found out was that there was a regular little group that would come in for autographs all the time. And we all became friends. So that instead of having neighborhood pals, I had these autograph pals.
Now let me ask you something. Are any of them still alive as you are? And do you still keep in touch?
I think one is still living because I heard something about that from a good friend of mine that's in Chicago. In fact, my best friend, we were editors of our paper together, went all through high school together. And, you know, we're very, very close friends. He was like my almost brother. And anyway.
So let me ask you also, Marie.
I will tell you the story of how I got into theater through all these movies, and I have all these autographs. I can show pictures of it.
Yeah.
But I was in back of the stage of the Oriental Theater, and it looked down on this street, not on State Street, but the Dearborn Street, which is next to it. And at that point, if you looked out of the stage door and walked down a couple of inches or so, or not even half a block, just a short ways, you were on Dearborn Street, and what you faced was the back of the Woods Theater, which was a theater that showed things like by Samuel Goldwyn and all that kind of thing, because facing Randolph Street. Randolph was the street of movie theaters in addition to the Oriental. And next to that, there were two other theaters, the Harris and the Selwyn. All of that now is the Goodman Theater.
In Chicago,
which is very well known now in Chicago, one of the leading theaters in America. And so all of it was the Goodman Theater. But somebody, when I was waiting for the autograph, said to me, you know, there are some movie stars across the street. And I said, there are? He says, yeah. But we've never gotten their autographs, but I bet that you could get them. So I went over across the street, and it was about 5 o'clock or so. And there was a matinee getting out, which I didn't know about matinees, but I don't know a lot about them now. And the doors were open, and there was a curtain call coming up, and I ran to see the curtain call. And it was this gorgeous set, gorgeous with a chaise longue and beautiful office, whatever it was, combination office and living room and so on. And there was a gorgeous woman in a beautiful dress taking a bow first, and a lot of fancily dressed people around her. And so I said, oh, that's good. And I grabbed a playbill that was in back of the seat just outside the door where I was standing. And I get out, and I noticed everybody running down. In between the 2 theaters were the stage doors for those theaters, the Harris and the Selwyn. And I ran out in, and I joined the crowd. And I had my stage bill, which I still have a copy of. Okay. Wow. And I got to the lady who was sitting on the chaise longue. And she said to me, did you see the theater? And of course, I was a good little girl. And I said, I'm sorry to say I didn't. I've only seen your curtain call. And she said, well, I will sign your program. And I said, a little autograph too, on the side, because I had a little piece of paper just in case this didn't work out. And she said, fine. And she said, but you must promise me you will go to the theater. And I said, okay, I promise I will go to the theater, instead of a movie. And the person was Gertrude Lawrence, who was there with Dennis King. And she was in Pygmalion. She was Liza Doolittle, of course, in Pygmalion. And so I had, and I also have a little piece of yellow paper in my pasted in one of my autograph books with her.
With Gertrude Lawrence's name. So let me ask you some of the other.
This is kind of getting bad. All right. But it was one of the ones that I had to keep because this was my introduction to the theater.
Because you kept your promise. You promised her that you would go to the theater.
I have another one there that I got too, which I kept, although it isn't signed on the front. It's signed on the back, but she was also there. I got her autograph separately. Mae West.
No.
Come on. And a thing I remembered, so what I got inside here, I didn't get her autograph here, but I got her autograph on a piece of paper. So I put that in my book. But I got all the members of the cast practically inside of this thing.
What show was she? Wasn't doing sex at that point. What show was he?
She was with us. Come On Up, Bring Twice was the show. And she was, the thing I remember so very much about her was that she was so short and she wore a long gown. Even in the daytime, she wore a very long dress and had very high heels on them.
Huh.
And both she and later on Miriam Hopkins, who I got, they both had like what we used to call piano legs. And that's why they had the long skirts all the time.
Oh, because they had little spindly legs that they wanted to hide because the rest of her, of course, was known as being, yeah.
Well, of course, I had made a promise earlier to Gertrude Lawrence that I would go to the theater. So my birthday was coming up. And my mother asked me, what do you want? Do you want some money for the movies downtown? And I said, no, I want to go to the theater if it's all right with you. And she said, fine. And so she said, when we go up, you can buy some tickets. And she gave me this money. And I think it was a tremendous amount for that time. It was like $4 or $5 for front row seats, which, you the movies were $1.20 for under 12 and $1.80 for adults, over 12.
Actually, that sounds like a lot of money for a movie.
I wasn't 12 yet. I had been
Yeah.
11. And so I thought to myself, well, I would carry my birth certificate around a lot of times to the movies and shove it in to show them that I was still in the lower brackets for paying for things. But anyway, the theaters were the same thing. So I remember the first show I saw was a thing called Kiss Me Tell, which was one of those juvenile things of a cute little gal that has, a few little troubles, the kind of thing that Shirley Temple played later. And this Chorus Archer was the heroine. And there were some Chorus Archer things, like there were, like Mickey Rooney had Andy Hardy, there was Chorus Archer thing. And I believe Shirley Temple did play her once in a movie. Maybe it was Kiss and Tell. But by that time, I wasn't as big on movies as I was on the theater. When she was doing when Shirley Temple was a younger teenager. But I also saw a second one. I went down to the Erlanger Theater, which was also on Dearborn. It's not there anymore. And I saw A Streetcar Named Desire.
With?
Now, because I knew that it was a theater play, and that I could get to it easily. I didn't know about all the other theaters yet. I learned them very quickly after that. I knew the Harrison, the Selwyn, and the Erlanger, because they were all downtown, and I knew the backstages of the movie places.
Well, who was in Streetcar? Yeah, when you saw Streetcar.
Now, this is interesting. It was Anthony Quinn, Uta Hagen, and a gal named Mary Welsh playing Stella. But Anthony Quinn was that. And, I was 11 years old. Okay. I was not yet knowing all about The Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah.
But I still remember, the rape scene and that Anthony Quinn held up a pair of purple silk pajamas and raised them all over that. And then, of course, the curtain came down right after that. And I just knew that man was hurting that woman. And I knew that the woman was a little touched, and so on.
Well,
but I
touched it, she was great, but yes.
And I did get Anthony Quinn's
really?
autograph in an autograph book that I had at that point, because I knew he was a movie star. I had no idea that that Ulla
Hagen was also, yeah.
And that's so funny because I didn't get her autograph. And I didn't get Uta Hagen's autograph when I saw her later. Several years later, there was an attempt to start a summer theater at the Edgewater Beach Hotel downtown. Well, it was on the north side, along the lake. And I saw her and Herbert Bergdorf, her husband. They had tried to start a summer theater there at the Edgewater Beach. It didn't go over after that. But I remember seeing her, and I remember meeting him, and so. But I never got their autograph because it was just not that.
Yeah, who wants to autograph? Right? Yeah.
And I even at one of the meetings of the American Theater Critics Association, I saw her again at the table, and I said, "Now I'm not collecting autographs anymore. I'm not paid."
Wait, Marie, why did you stop? Why did you? Because when you became a critic, did you have to stop the autograph collecting?
Autographs by the time I went into college.
Oh,
I didn't get them anymore. I had a kind of some interesting thing. I went to all the different places, just name them, and I have their things. I'll show you.
Oh, she's going to show. We're talking with Marie.
This was my best autograph book here.
Yeah.
Here. And I had everyone that you could possibly imagine. Starting with Benita Granville, when you wouldn't have remembered very much, but I had
90 years old, so I know.
Here's Claire Trevor.
Wow.
Claire Trevor.
Hold it up a little higher to the
beautiful. And this was interesting. This is June Havoc.
Oh my!
Who was little June, who was in
the inspiration for Gypsy,
and she put her lip print on for me. That was interesting. If you get a lip print. The other person I got a lip print from was when they were doing the voice of the turtle at this Harris or Selwyn, one of those two, they were there for a year, and Hugh Marlowe was with them and so on.
Hugh Marlowe gave you a lip print?
Yeah.
No.
And Hugh Marlowe and K.T. Stevens. K.T. Stevens was in a couple of movies, not very many. The biggest one I remember is that she was in Kitty Foyle as one of Ginger Rogers' roommates. But she was Sam Goldwyn's niece. And so we all thought that she would get, a lot. Hugh Marlowe was the guy that was in, you might remember him from All About Eve. He was the writer, and he was there all the time, I got to know them pretty well, as a matter of fact, because I'd be at the Oriental Theater some weekend, but they would still be at the Harris with the voice of the turtle. And the other person was Vivian Vance, and I had her.
Vivian Vance,
who was the femme fatale at that time, not Lucy Ball's,
right,
neighbor in that. And I remember she gave me a lip print too.
Really? Vivian Vance.
She was the femme fatale. I started even putting their pictures in my book and everything so that I would remember who they were. But I had all kinds of people. There's Burl Ives. Oh my gosh. There was John Payne. But they're kind of getting that there. And there was Tony Martin.
Okay. He's a singer, right, Tony Martin?
The singer, yeah. He was Sid Cerese's husband, actually. This one I got on the back of an envelope at the Oriental. Dick Hames. You remember
a lot of singers again.
I liked him very much at the time, but I didn't like the way he acted later. I'll tell you, there's a lot of these people like Bellas and Yolanda, the dancers. They were so big. If you look on, people trying to get eBay programs and everything, Bellas and Yolanda are big with them. And here's Joan Blondell.
Wow. Wow, I got to call your autograph. Really, yeah.
And this one is amazing. Dana Andrews.
Wow.
I have a story about Dana Andrews that was interesting.
Tell it.
He was coming in, by this time we were going to railroad stations because people would go from Los Angeles to New York and New York to Los Angeles through Chicago. Most of the time, you went to the Dearborn Street station, which doesn't exist anymore, except as I think there's a thing printed out of it, a magazine being printed out of that place. But the other station was the things from New York and that. I forget the name of it now. There was 5 different stations in Chicago. Union Station was the best known, I think, but very seldom took people from California to Chicago or Chicago to California. Although I have one great big bunch of autographs from the time they had a March of Dimes meeting in Washington with President Roosevelt, and a whole bunch.
Do you have FDR's autograph?
No, I don't have FDR. Although at one time, a person, Dorothy Shea, whom I had a fan club for, she was the Park Avenue hillbilly known for feuding the fuss and nan fighting somehow. Well, I had a fan club for her so that I could write. And she got a letter from Eleanor Roosevelt. And so she sent me Eleanor Roosevelt's autograph, which is in an envelope. I don't have her in a book, pasted in a book. I have her in the letter from Dorothy. But anyway, that particular place in Washington, that was the first time I ever saw Alan Ladd, whom I was crazy about. And so he signed it, and Sue Carroll Ladd, his wife. And there were a number of, I think Monty Woolley was there, Susanna Foster, people like that. They were all going to Washington for this. So I had a whole bunch of there. And then later on, Alan Ladd became an honorary member of Dorothy Shea's fan club that we had. And so I have several letters from him, praising her because he loved her work and she loved his. We would always have a couple of honorary members, One was Bing Crosby. I have a letter from him. And one was Betty Garrett and Larry Parks, who were big at the time. And she sent me a thing. I think Betty Garrett is still well known.
Well, yeah, from All in the Family. She was on for several seasons there.
Right, yeah. And so there were people like that were members, not very many, but Alan Ladd, I have pictures of him autographed to me. And and several letters, like when he was in England, Washington, and he'd always mention something that Dorothy Shea had done on television or whatever it was, It was very, very nice. Anyway, I was going to say about the Dana Andrews thing. This was really interesting because Dana Andrews was very mean. He came in at this New York station that we had that only I, myself, and another gal from our group knew about it. And we went on a Sunday morning. I'll never forget that. You go to church and then you go to the station. And
aren't you? I thought you were
Jewish. Thought it would be so good because he was so popular at the time to get Dana Andrews' autograph. And he was going in and he was so mean. He said, I don't know what you're bothering me for and all that. There was only two people there, two kids. One was, 12 years old and the other one was probably about that, 15, something like that. And we said, we made a lot of a point to try to see you here because we like your work, And anyway, we went through all this kind of thing. And finally, he stopped there and he signed my book. He signed the book and he said, I think you're right. I think you're quite nice. And so he signed it, see. But he said, but don't do this again. It was so funny. He said that and he went there. Well, many, many years later, when I was working at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and I was head of a baccalaureate program that was called University Studies, where I was the program. In fact, I would help make people up according to a formula and get this multidisciplinary degree. It was like because I had a multidisciplinary degree. I knew every place in the school. So I had a friend who was working with people that came to town that gave speeches in the town of Carbondale or at the university, speeches and other things. It was really nice because I saw Yves Montand that way too, but I didn't get his autograph. That was another funny story. But there at the table at one table was Dana Andrews.
Yeah.
Dana Andrews at one of the tables that I was invited to. And he was there because he was no longer popular in movies. And he had been an alcoholic and he was working on an anti-alcoholic campaign. And so he kept there. And I just sat there like that. And he said, do you know my work and everything? I said, yes, I know a lot about you. And I never asked him for his autograph. I never told him that thing. I said, yes, I know.
Never even, wow. I thought this was like you would say, and he apologized. Oh, wow. What a douche. Well,
I just never said that. I thought to myself, no, I'm not you. I'm Dr. Marie Kilker, and he's just Dana Andrews, a has-been.
Yeah.
It was something because he had been so mean. For no reason.
Yeah.
The only other mean person I ever saw when I was getting autographs was Frank Sinatra. He came through the gates of the Dearborn station, going like this with people, waving them off and so on. And in fact, somebody took a picture of him, somebody from the newspapers, and they had the newspaper, "The Voice rushes to New York," or something like that. And I thought nobody even came near him or something. And he was, get out, go, running like this. And so I just disliked him and therefore promoted not only Dorothy Shea, but I promoted Dick Haymes after that.
Yeah.
My friends, yes, because at least he would sign stuff and do things like that,
Well, who's heard of Frank Sinatra now? I mean, nothing ever became of him.
A mean guy. He was a mean guy, But I can remember that we went inside the station after this guy was there and somebody came out and it turned out to be Wayne Morris. Wayne Morris was a Warner Brothers movie star, was always in movies with Ronald Reagan and people. He was quite a big star at Warner Brothers. He had been in the Navy. In fact, he was in the Navy still at that time because, World War was on. And or was over. And he came in and we said, oh, that's Wayne Morris. So we went up to him and he stood by a thing and he says, I'm not important. He said, Frank Sinatra was on this show. He says, we know. And he signed our books. So I have his thing. I have a little picture of him in it there. And we said, we are happy to have your autograph because we value this more than we did Frank Sinatra. And the only other person I remember who was kind of into himself and mean was Burgess Meredith.
Really?
Yes, he came through one time. And I remember because he was also in one of the theaters at one point later. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to go see Burgess Meredith because he's a stinker. But it was so funny. We had this one young boy in our group who was very acerbic, I would say, if he was not treated well. And usually everybody liked him real well because he was kind of tiny and that he didn't look his age. And, he went, oh, yes, and like that. And he went up to Burgess Meredith. He was coming through, and Burgess Meredith just pushed him aside and went on. And,
wow.
and this boy said, thank you, Mr. Goddard. Because he was married to Paulette Goddard at the time. And, he was famous for being married to Paulette Goddard. He says, thank you, Mr. Goddard.
That's nice. When you're
he was sharp. He was a sharp guy. He had all kinds of things to say to people and that kind of thing. He was really funny.
Can I ask you, Marie, what was the last autograph that you remember getting before you went to college?
Actually, it's something rather recent.
I
got one autograph in all these years. Probably the last autographs I ever got were somebody that was connected with Dorothy Shea, maybe Frankie Lane, because I would be in her place, sitting when she came to Chicago, and Frankie would drop in and all that. And, he was very, very popular for his Mule Train and other songs and so on. He was a very nice person. I can remember that. But actually, I got one autograph in my book a few years ago. There was a person who was at the Oslo Theater. His name was David Howard. And David Howard was a minor person in a number of movies, but he had also been on Broadway several times, usually as a substitute for somebody. It was an older person, but anyway, he was very good. The last thing I remember, he was in that show where Brad Pitt was in and comes from the other country. I forget his name, but Brad Pitt was in the movie. And he was one of the people at this table. And he was also in 12 Angry Men or something like that on the stage and that. But he was a very big actor at the Oslo. He was a member of the Oslo Repertory Company. Now they have a repertory, but they don't have a repertory company.
Now, can I ask you, Marie, since we talk so much about Chicago, now at least we're moving to Florida.
I just went to him and said, I'd like to have your autograph because he was such a nice guy and such a good actor.
But moving away from autographs for a bit, what are the one or two greatest shows that you have seen being a theater critic in Florida? Like their greatest memories.
Greatest shows I've seen. The greatest shows I've seen have been in France.
Oh, all right.
And the one is the Théâtre du Soleil, which I think you and your wife Joyce went to with me.
It's not my wife; she's Dave's wife. We dally sometimes.
And that one was it was translated into English was 1789, and that was the French Revolution staged before, during, and after, immediately after, staged as a carnival. And you remember from the Théâtre du Soleil how unusual they are, because Ariane Minushkin, who is their leader, probably was the creator of the group creation, because she always did the group creation. Before that, you always had the director doing things and an author or something like that. But she would, Megan Terry, of course, did some things with people just, playing around and so on and improvising and that. But then she wrote it down as a regular. This was the most wonderful show I've ever seen. And they had like bleachers set around, and they had booths for each people and little stages around, and then one main stage. And the people that came in late became part of the crowd. They were the crowd in Paris and so on like that when the king was, trying to get through and all that kind of. It was an absolutely fabulous show. It was a fabulous show. The Théâtre du Soleil, 1789. Two other things. One thing was Peter Brook's Midsummer Night's Dream. I thought those two shows were probably the best shows in the Western world in the second half of the last century.
Wow.
you know.
The book is well known.
Another one I was
and
okay.
spare and
I
stand.
have to get though to some that were the most interesting I ever saw. I studied in Stratford-on-Avon for a whole summer, 1959, just before the Shakespeare Memorial turned into the Royal Shakespeare Theater. That was last year. And so it was an anniversary theater of the company and also of the theater itself, the building. And so everything was done by stars and everything was done by a different director. And that's where I saw Laurence Olivier do Coriolanus. And that was the most fantastic performance I've ever seen. It was just totally unforgettable. He was Coriolanus. And I think Mary Ure was his wife and Edith Evans was his mother. And Andrews was Tyler
Payne Andrews.
It was absolutely fabulous, particularly for the way he died. I mean, he was brought up on a promontory. You know, he was fighting against his enemies, and they were getting him. And they brought him to the end, and somebody then, as he was standing backward to the audience because they were pushing him off this promontory, and like a hill outside of Coriolanus, and they got him and struck him, and he fell backward, and they held him by his ankles. He fell backwards, so you saw his face coming down when they had it. And Titus Ophidius, who was down below, took his dagger and stuck it in his midsection.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then they let him down the further thing. It was the only time that I've ever seen anything where, you know, most of the time in a Shakespearean play, somebody will stab someone and then the next day, oh, what a wonderful guy he was, you know, or something like that. It's horrible. But in this one, you saw the recognition of Ophidius, you know, as they brought all the rest of him down and laid him down and so on. So that when he does say this was a worthy opponent and so on, this was a great man, it made sense. But Olivier did everything just beautifully. When he was standing in the marketplace, supposedly standing for the cheers of the people and everything, he just stood like, and he looked just like Christ, you know, before the judges.
I don't know who this Christ person is. I hear a lot about him.
And you know, he was a master of the monologue, of the one word.
Soliloquy.
And he said, you stay here, you know, and he put his hands down like that. And you thought, if you were even in the balcony, you thought that you were right there, you know, listening to him and so on. He was absolutely fabulous. I used to see him coming in and out of the stage door at times. And one time I remember we were sitting in this place called the Dirty Duck. It's actually the Black Swan or something like that, but it's a combination of, there's a small hotel, but it's basically a pub and an outside, and that's where the kids were there. And Mr. Lawton, Charles Lawton was, he was directing Lear, and he was also playing Bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream. And he would sometimes take us students for a beer or for Coke or whatever, you know, out there. So we got to sitting out there sometimes, if we could afford it. And we saw Olivier coming in one time, and he was at the stage door, and we could see his feet. His feet were just totally red at the bottom from being held so much of the time when he was coming down. But he was there for rehearsals, everything. He was a perfect person. He was married to Vivian Lee then, and she was around town a lot. And I was surprised I never got her autograph because I had seen her in Chicago at the Harris in a play. Anyway, by that time, I think I was older and I wasn't getting autographs anymore. And also I saw Audrey Hepburn do a play there, thing like that. And I didn't get her autograph. I should have gotten those. I should have just stepped it up because I would have it.
Now, Marie, we have just a couple of minutes left. So I want to ask you a more personal kind of question, especially since you were talking about Laurence Olivier dying on stage. So this is a death-ish question. Joyce, David's wife, and David knew you and your husband quite well, Jim. You know, you were married for many years. You were a great couple.
48 years, yes.
How did you, when he passed, how did you go on past that? Because it was a few years ago now. How did you get through the times of no longer having Jim?
It's very bad. It's very hard. But I have two daughters. And so, I can stay neither one of them living with me right
Well,
here.
yeah, with you, but
But I have two daughters to keep that alive. I was an only child. And I was very big on my parents, especially my mother. They're gone. But I also have some good friends here. And among them are the playwrights Jack Gahuli and Joe Morello. Jack, by the way, is very ill right now. He broke his femur about 3 weeks ago, and it was really bad. They thought he was not going to live, but he got through it. He got operated on, and he's now in his second rehab place, and he will probably be there for another 4 or 5 weeks.
right.
He went into ICU for a long time, and Joe, she's his wife. She, at the same time that he broke his femur, her mother died. Now, they expected that, but she was 100 years old, but it was pretty hard, Thank God she had a sister that helped with that. But everything's happening at the same time. And so I friends, and then I had some good friends. I have one good neighbor on both sides of me. I have the neighbors from hell, but across the way, I have one from heaven.
Good.
And then I've had certain friends that person that used to live here, they always go to the theater. He would always drive me because I get a comp and that was good. But I'm so near the Oslo. I mean, I could probably get there blindfolded. And I also am fairly near Florida Studio Theater. I can just whip right down, from a particular place. I go down to Ringling College of Art and Design, turn right on Coconut and goes right down to the place there. They're so good to me there too. They usually, because I'm kind of tethered to a walker right now. And they always save a handicap space for me in the lot when I'm coming. And so they're very good. They're very nice to me. I love that theater because the thing I like about that theater is that they are small, but they always say small enough to get to know you and big enough to give you the kind of entertainment and other things that you deserve.
Well,
and they got 5 venues now. When I came here, they had just 1 venue.
Right, when they grow and they grind, you've been through so much of it, and God willing, Marie Kilker, you will be through many, many more, and you will get to see more seasons now that things are opening up.
I hope so. I hope we can get back with the American Theater Association, put their yearly meetings in other places, because I was always very big on that. I think that's where I met you first.
Well, not me.
Then I would work for you right away for This Month on Stage, and then now I think I'm a regular member, probably one of the first members of your TotalTheater.com.
That's right.
And
yeah.
Everybody here, quotes from TotalTheater.com.
That's right. Well, I want to remind people that you can read Marie's reviews going back like 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and a couple of weeks ago, all about Florida theater, just by going to TotalTheater.com. You can spell it ER, you can spell it RE, TotalTheater.com. Look for Kilker, Kilker, Marie's reviews from Sarasota area theater in Florida, plus her
and France
are there too. So
I have many things from France and a lot of things from international in general too. But France, I have. So I think I'm the only one that writes from France.
Keep writing, keep going to the theater, keep in touch. Marie J. Kilker, has been an honor and a delight having you on the program today. I wish you, God knows, good health, a happy Rosh Hashanah to you. Are you Jewish or not? I thought you were Jewish. Yeah.
No, well, I was adopted by a Jewish mother, but she died last year. So I don't know how that happens, but I regularly work with the Jewish Federation here. I always give them a donation, and I always get their news, and I always publish it. And but actually, I'm a Roman Catholic by.
Oh my God! Well, I'm sorry to hear.
He's half Jewish.
It's good. We'll let you. We'll allow you. Marie J. Kilker, thank you. I'm going to let you go from the Daverhood. Health and good things for
Yes, Happy New Year.
you too. And shalom to you. Bye-bye now. Oh, my friends, Marie J. Kilker in the Daverhood joining us with her memories, with her autographs. Oh, such fun. So many interesting stories to talk to her about. But I've got to go. The show is continuing. Dave is coming back. It's Dave's Gone By. He's got a trivia thing to do. He's got other things to do. I got to go. I got to get ready for Rosh Hashanah. I've got to go in the mikveh and get all peeled. So I'll go. I'll play some music, and then Dave will be with you momentarily. Well, thank you to Rabbi Sal Solomon and especially to Marie J. Kilker. We have a couple of people joining us to play a game in the Daverhood live on this Saturday. It is September 4th, 2021. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. It's our 814th show. It's Dave's Gone By, of course. We've been calling it In for the Kill in honor of our interviewee moments ago, Marie J. Kilker. What a delight having her. We have, first of all, David Sheward coming from, there he is.
I think he's by his mom. Is he by his mom?
No, you're on another vacation. Where are you at? Oh, unmute, Dave. Unmute. In fact, both you guys, Moshe also unmute so we can hear you. Dave, how you doing?
Here we are.
Shalom, 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 and hello. So, Dave, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. Where are you? You're where?
I am in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, visiting my brother.
Rehoboth? I like it. That's a nice little...
Rehoboth Beach in Delaware.
Yes.
In Israel.
Yeah, exactly. So how's it been? Have you done fun? Are there fun things to do in Delaware?
Oh, yes, yes. It's a major vacation spot. And we just got here yesterday. And we'll go to the beach and get, maybe go out for brunch. We drove down from New York yesterday.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. So, yeah, it's
kind of worried about it because of the aftermath of the hurricane, but things are okay.
That's great. And you're there, I guess, because you're off until Thursday. Is that the deal? Or you start? Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, looking good. And so what are your plans? What are you going to do while you're in Delaware?
Well, we'll go to the beach. We'll drive around. There are a lot of cute little towns, and it's a very beachy area, and just hang out at the beach and have a nice time.
Sounds pretty darn good. And let me also say hi to our friend, Moshe Denburg. He was a new friend of the Daverhood last week. Now he's I wouldn't say he's an old friend. He's sort of a middle-aged friend of the Daverhood because he's been on the show once.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's sort of between Dr. Sue and Vicky Quaggy, which is a name joke. So how are you, Moshe? How's your...
I'm well. It's early here in Vancouver, BC, Canada. So you have me actually getting up in time for shul,
This is better than shul. This is...
Is Leslie joining us today?
She should be where... I might have gotten a message from her. Hold on, I'm checking my text. And
David, I wanted to tell you that my victory last week was aided by the fact that on those steals, I only had to choose between two in the end, right? Twice. So I will say, I'll put an asterisk on this victory, David.
I'm just trying to find the best lighting. That's great. No,
no asterisks needed. I mean, anybody could have stolen. Anybody has the chance to steal if the person doesn't get the question. There's nothing taking away from your victory, Moshe.
Any victory is a victory.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Fine. So I don't have to be Canadian and apologize for winning.
No, you don't.
You can be an ugly American.
You can be, as my wife says, you can be the ugly American, Moshe. It's fine. So
very good for a change. For a change, it would be nice,
Let me remind people that Moshe heads a band and has for many years called Tzimmes. Tzimmes has an album out. It's called The Road Never Traveled. So you can get that in all the usual places. Well, most of the usual places that CDs are sold. But the website is.
You should go to the website, tzimmes.net, which is spelled T as in Tom, Z, I, M, that's mother, ES. That's how we spell Tzimmes. It's sort of an old way of spelling it. .net, N-E-T, and you'll get right there. As soon as you get there, you'll get all the information you need.
And lots of music. Well, now you've been making music for lots of years, and also instructing in terms of music theory. I mean, it was really great to talk to you last week. Great to have you in the Daverhood again. I'll tell. You guys now know the rules, but I'll go over the rules for people who are watching the show for the first time, and also to kill time until Leslie is able to log on. Right. That's the other. Leslie, we love her, but on time, never. So.
I see.
It's a Jewish 11 o'clock. Yeah.
So we have marriage counselor in attendance or something.
Well, I'm married to the person who counsels my marriage, my wife. That's Joyce. So here's the rules. Here's the rules of. Oh, by the way, this is also a good time to make sure that you both have a pen and a piece of paper.
Okay.
Because we'll need that. Let's not forget. And also, let me make sure that I have.
Put his site in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Joyce just added tzimmes.net to our chat here on the Facebook page on Dave's Gone By, where it is 11:07 in the morning.
I think David just left.
We've been abandoned by everyone.
Everyone left.
Just a second.
Oh, they're getting the paper.
Yeah, of course, they're getting the paper and pen.
I thought they were
David, yeah, there you go. He's usually ready for these things, but David's out in Delaware at the moment. What a beautiful place.
Yeah, and asking if that's the main room or that's their apartment?
Well, he's just going down the stairs now. Hopefully the basement there isn't flooded. Moshe is looking.
We need to go there.
Yeah, I would love. Isn't that a wonderful looking place? I like. Not that Moshe's place is not nice too, with all the plants and everything. Are those real? Are those actual live plants, or are those?
Yes, they are. They are. Actually, we have two places, me and my wife. This is her place in North Vancouver. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I mean, it's all part of the greater Vancouver area, but she loves plants. She really has wonderful plants here. So it's really nice to be here.
And it's nice to have you here with us in the Daverhood. So while David is literally, it's amazing. He's a writer, and he's got to go all through a house to find just a pen and a piece of paper. Here he is.
Well, it's my house, and it's the first time.
It's like an Orson Welles movie. He's coming from deep space back there. Yeah. And coming into focus. Welcome back, Dave. So here's the rules of the game. La regla de jeu, or in case there's two Jews here, la regla of the two Jews.
Les règles de jeu.
Oh, that's right. You speak French. There we go.
A little bit. I grew up in Montreal. So.
Montreal.
Montreal. If you want to speak it as a French person, it's Montreal.
Montreal. So they don't do the NT. It's like
no. It's silent. Montreal.
Well. Wait. I think I have a message. Let's see. Leslie just texted to say she's working. I'm working my way back to you. The old. So she's trying. Here are the rules. Okay, so it's a trivia quiz. There's 9 questions plus a tiebreaker. So we have 3 rounds with each contestant getting a question to answer. If the contestant gets the question correct, the contestant gets 2 points. If they do not, or if they pass, no penalty, but one of the other contestants gets to steal that question and get the 2 points. That's right, but I can take some numbers from you. So, Moshe, since you're still a relative newbie to the show, we're not sick of your face yet, what can you choose a number between 1 and 6, por favor?
3.
3. Okay, Moshe goes with 3. David Sheward?
4.
David goes with 4. So I'm, even before Leslie gets here, assuming she can get here, I'm going to roll a digital die, and that comes up with a 6, which is closer to David. So David, would you like to go first, second, or third?
I'll go first.
David will go first. Okay, and Moshe, would you like to go second or third?
I'll go third.
Whoa, okay. Moshe. So I think we can actually start the game. This is actually, well, we certainly can give David his question.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what will happen is if literally Leslie is really late, with all due respect, Moshe, we might make you go second just so we get
Okay, I agree. No problems.
Thank you for being amenable. So as opposed to Leslie, who's a womanable. And these, my jokes, which are abominable. So here we go.
Oh, that's getting better. It's getting better, Dave.
It never gets better. Moshe, welcome to the Daverhood again. You will be answering questions third. David will be first. Are you ready, David, for your first trivia question?
Yes, I am.
Here we go. The year was 1781. Okay, accompanied by 4 soldiers, 44 settlers founded the pueblo of Our Lady of the Queen of the Angels, which would eventually become Los Angeles.
Oh.
Which of these is not true about L.A.? A, it's illegal to drive more than 2,000 sheep down Hollywood Boulevard at one time. B, it has a street that is more steep than any in San Francisco. C, the Capitol Records building has a light on top that blinks out Capitol Records in Morse code. Or D, 5 people died in 1942 in the chaos that ensued when the town mistakenly thought the Japanese were attacking. One of these, not true.
One of these is not true.
Right.
They all sound plausible, and the truth is probably 5 people died instead of 6 in that one time. All right, so it's the Capitol Record, the 2,000, it's illegal to herd
more than 2,000 sheep.
More than 2,000 sheep, meaning you can herd
1999, yeah.
You can herd 1,999 sheep.
And I know you can't because I've tried. So, but
so
no more than 2,000 down Hollywood Boulevard.
The Capitol Records, people died.
Right.
People died, and what's the other one?
It has a street that is even more steep than any street in San Francisco.
That's interesting. I know that Lombardi Street in San Francisco is called the crookedest street in the world. And that sounds weird enough to be true about the street. So let's see. The Capitol Records, I think that makes sense.
Morse code.
The number of people dying and the sheep. That leaves the number of people dying and the sheep. Okay, so I think it's the sheep one or the number of people who died in the panic when they thought the Japanese were invading. I think it's the last one. I'm going to go with, hi Leslie, I'm going to go with the last one. You're
going to say that it's not true that 5 people died in 1942 in the chaos that ensued when the town mistakenly thought the Japanese were.
Yes, I'm going to say that's not true.
And, okay, here we go.
I'm just realizing, never mind.
No, what?
Well, I'm just realizing something interesting. In some of the questions, it is good to go second or third because then things get eliminated. But
good morning.
That has nothing to do with, that's the luck of the draw with the steal. So, yes.
And also, if you get it right, then you get first crack. So
you may get an early lead, but whatever. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
This is your answer. Well, David, I'm afraid your answer did not Japan out. That is not the correct answer. That was actually true.
Wow.
That did happen.
So
we have a few opportunity, but Leslie, I need to welcome Leslie Hoban Blake to the Daverhood. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm fine. I just have a really slow machine. I'm so sorry about that.
That means you should start earlier.
I do start earlier, and then I walk away to fix my hair, and it disappears. I come back, and it's all gone, and I have to start all over again. What?
You walk away, and your hair disappears?
I just made that joke, David. Don't steal my joke. Okay, so Leslie, I need you.
Love that shirt. I've got a pillow made out of the same material. I love that.
Leslie, do you know Marie Kilker? Have you ever met her from ATCA? Marie J. Kilker? Florida critic for many, many years? No. Okay. But Leslie, I need you to pick a number from 1 to 6. 4.
What's available? I mean, what's not used?
Well, 3 and 4 are taken.
Oh, I'll go for 6 then. Thank you.
I'm sorry, 6?
I'll go for 6. I don't want to get in that little traffic jam.
No problem. Because I need to roll a die now that you're here. I'll read the question again, but let's see who it comes up with. Ladies and gentlemen, we come up with a number 2. So I've got to wipe myself. And the number 2 is closest to Moshe. So Moshe, I'll read the whole question again so Leslie gets it as well. The year was 1781 when 44 settlers founded the pueblo of Our Lady of the Queen of the Angels, which would eventually become Los Angeles. Which of these is not true about L.A.? A, it's illegal to drive more than 2,000 sheep down Hollywood Boulevard at one time. B, it has a street that is even more steep than any in San Francisco. Or C, the Capitol Records building has a light on top that blinks out Capitol Records in Morse code. Moshe, this is your question to steal.
Well, I mean, they're all kind of wild, the steep street is plausible. It's the sort of thing that you'd think could be, is an anomaly. I mean, San Francisco is the hilly place. So it comes down between the Morse code and the sheep.
As it always?
As it always does.
You know what? I'm going to say the thing that's untrue is the Morse code.
Is that your final answer?
For now.
Or actually, I should play it this way. Guess what, Moshe? The winner last week. You are first on the board this week because, yes, that is indeed.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Here's the deal. There is a light on the top of the Capitol Records building. Yeah. It does blink, and it does blink out in Morse code. But what it blinks out is Hollywood.
It blinks out Hollywood.
It doesn't blink out Capitol Records. And by the way, Eldred Street in Los Angeles has like a 33% grade, which is steeper than any street.
Really? That's incredible. That's incredible.
And the best one is that in 1942, there was people thought the Japanese were landing in Los Angeles, and 5 people died because they either had heart attacks or in traffic jams getting the hell out. So
I think that's quite plausible. Amongst a big population, people will panic and die. That's what.
We're having a flood in New Jersey, for God's sake.
No, for God's sake, you guys are having a hard time out there. Yeah.
I know. Why can't we? We should all drink more water. I think if everybody drank when all that water was coming through, we'll be fine. As long as we can get to a bathroom after.
L'chaim.
We're doing l'chaim. There you go. To all of you. So we come to our next question. Which goes, let's see what order. Oh, just so you know, Leslie, the order is David, Leslie, you, and then Moshe. So it's 1, 2, 3. So Moshe just stole that first question from David.
How did I get second? Somebody did that for me?
Well, before you came on, we did some stuff in the game to get it going. So you kind of fell into second place. That's in
absentia. Okay.
Moshe to pick third.
Moshe, where are you located? You were saying us over here. Where are you located?
I'm in BC in Canada.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
In Vancouver, yeah.
He's actually in literally BC.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. Oh, damn.
It's okay, Leslie. You know what, Leslie? It's early in the morning for me.
It's been a week.
Be discombobulated as much as you like.
Thank you.
Well, let's recombobulate because we have another question. And by the way, I forgot to mention to everybody, most of the questions, not all of them at this point, but most of them have to do with things that occurred in history on this date. So when I give a year, it's actually September 4th of that year this happened. So we were talking about the founding of Los Angeles. And now here's our second question. Oh, my God, that was only our first question. And I wonder why the game takes 2 hours to play. Here we go.
I wasn't here, so it wasn't my fault.
I'm not blaming. 1833, this question is yours, Leslie. 1833, September 4th. 10-year-old Barney Flaherty, or Flaherty, is hired by the New York Sun and becomes the very first paper boy. Which of these was the official slogan of the New York Sun? Multiple choice. Was it A?
Good question. Very good question.
Well, thank you.
I thought you were going to make me sing something from Newsies, but thank you for not doing it.
Please do. Please do. Leslie.
No.
And by the way,
David Sheward could do a better job than I could at this point.
Actually, I should say Alan Menken is a friend of the Daverhood. He's been on the show. So, yeah, go ahead, sing something from Newsies. But here's the deal. The multiple choice are, for the slogan of the New York Sun, the bright light of Broadway. B, wake up with the sun. C, the sun lights the way. D, it shines for all.
I can envision that. I can envision the little sun having the foggiest idea what it says. So the sun shines for all. Wake up with the sun.
Right.
Well, let me just see if I remember any of them.
Sure.
It lights the way. It shines for all. Wake up with the sun. What am I missing?
The bright light of Broadway.
Oh, the bright light of Broadway. Okay, that I don't believe that had anything to do with it. Wake Up with the Sun is 2 Madison Avenue. Much too early for that kind of. So it's one of the other two. Oh, we used to convince ourselves we were an egalitarian society. So let's say it shines for all.
Is that your final answer?
It's a guess.
Leslie, that was an educated guess. And the rays are beaming down on you because it shines for all. That was.
Bravo!
Yeah, well done, Leslie. 2 points for you. You are tied with Moshe.
I think I'm going to leave now. I'm going to come and go. I got my 2
You
points.
can't.
I'm out of here.
No, it's a tie. You haven't won yet. You can't leave us in a tie.
No, I know. I just wanted to, cut my losses by going now.
Well, however, we're still in round 1, so we still have another question for one of our contestants. This question is going directly to Moshe. Now, Moshe, if you remember last week, we had so much fun with a kind of a question called 3 Clues in the News, which I'm trying not to mess up and not give away.
Boy.
So these are 3 words or names, right?
Joyce doesn't even have to guess them, and she has the same feeling about them. Go ahead.
I'm not a fan, Leslie. I'm not a fan of it, Leslie.
So here's the deal. What do these 3 clues have in common with each other?
You wrote
That
them.
will lead.
I
wrote them. Yeah, that's it.
Don't do that.
I created them. What do these 3 clues have in common with each other that has something to do with the news? You ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Troilus's girlfriend, Rhodames's girlfriend, and Gina.
I know Troilus' girl. That doesn't make sense.
Troilus is Troilus.
Yeah.
Cressida.
Story.
Romulus. You said Romulus?
Rhodames. Rhodames's girlfriend.
Rhodamus. I don't know who that would actually relate to.
How is that
And the
related?
last one?
What happened?
And the last one is Gina.
Gina, as Gina.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And
So
Gina.
all of these are related to each other. They all have something in common, and that is connected in a weird way to something in the news.
But it was more than a girlfriend.
David is smiling.
She was his lover. She was a lover.
Or lover, girlfriend. Oh, well, okay, lover is
Older lover.
paramour.
Older lover.
Yeah.
He was not.
Paramour is the proper word.
What? Paramour? What?
Paramour is the
Gina,
proper word.
Gina, gee, I.
So think of the name. I think you've got one of those. Troilus' girlfriend, Radames' girlfriend,
And
Gina.
tell him if he doesn't know, we can plug his website. Just
no,
plug your
no,
website.
Your answer could be Tzimmes.net. Yes.
Moshe, plug
And
your
in the
website.
news, how they're all related by something in the news. Gee, this is a tough one. I'll just take a moment to think about it, and if I draw a blank, I'll pass. But just a second.
Sure.
What would be in the news that would relate to these things with love and stuff like this? I'm going to have to pass. I don't want to waste your time.
No, okay. So we're gonna roll the die and see who gets a chance to possibly steal. The die comes up a number 3, which is Moshe, but closer to David. So David Sheward, you were kind of looking fairly confident there for a moment.
I think, well, I think that the three things in Troilus' girlfriend was Cressida.
Cressida. Yeah.
So I think the last 3 letters in Cressida are IDA. So I'm guessing that the thing in common with the 3, I'm not familiar with the other 2 or what Gina could be, but I think it's the letters, it's Ida.
Is that your
my goodness.
final answer?
Yeah, I don't know what else it could be.
I had a feeling you get that one right. Yes, David Sheward with 2 points on the. We have a 3-way tie.
Was the third one
So how does
Lola Brigida? Was the
How
third
does
one
Ida
Lola
relate to
Brigida? Was that
Gina?
it?
How does Ida relate to Gina and Rodimus?
Here's the deal.
You know Lola Brigida.
He's explaining, yeah.
Gina Lola Brigida, Lola Bridge Ida, and
And
Rada
Aida.
is Aida.
Oh, Aida.
You got it right
Aida.
without even knowing that. So that was
Yeah,
great.
well done, man.
Good on you. Good on you,
I
Dave.
thought, what else could it possibly be?
That's why it was in the news. So that was it because
that was definitely in the news for
It was
sure.
a really good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, the fact that you got it without Aida or Brigida is really amazing.
I was thinking Lola Brigida, but then I was wondering how does this all relate? Anyways, good on you, David.
Good
Yeah.
on, yeah.
Very good,
All
David.
3 of you. We have a 3-way tie again. We had this last
Oh,
week.
goodness.
This is unbelievable.
Let's quit. Let's
Yeah.
quit so we
Let's
can be
quit.
friends, you know?
Break out the champagne. We're ready. It's time.
Speaking of Gina Lola Brigida, you know who the Flintstones maid was in one episode?
No.
Gina
Yeah.
Lola Brigida.
Oh, dear
Brigida.
It was
That's
just
not
one
bad.
episode.
Uh,
One episode.
Do you know that there's a building downtown on the way when I was going down for my treatments? There's a building on 11th Ave. No, it's 9th Avenue, and it's called the Flintstone something. I have to go down again next week. I'll look at it and remember what it was. My mind was elsewhere at the time. It's some kind of Flintstone reference. I know it's not a Flintstone reference, but it works. That was a wonderful side trip into nothing. I'm sorry.
Leslie, you are one of the bedrocks of this segment, so absolutely.
That may be the word that it was actually. It's the name of a building. It's in the cornerstone of the building. It might be bedrock. It might actually be bedrock.
Oh wow!
From the town of Bedrock.
Yes.
It's the thing out of history.
Yeah, there's a game here going on. It's called Today, Yesterday. It's a trivia quiz with our wonderful guest, David.
Can we quote David's mother? It's not that good. What you said was
Who said that?
David's mother.
Oh, no, she said it was stupid.
Oh, stupid?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not very nice.
Yes.
So,
She said it was.
So I have a question.
stupid things she hadn't seen, right?
Have you ever heard of Philip K. Dick's head?
Wait, the what?
You know the story?
Philip
Okay.
K. Dick's head.
Can I take a side trip because it has to do with you being the quiz master?
Sure.
Okay. All right, really quickly.
Well, you better not call me a
My
dickhead.
son and I are working on something, and every now and then we fall down the rabbit hole of looking up stuff. And he sent me something that he's always known about. A guy named Hansen who was into AI and robotics.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Okay. made ahead of Philip K. Dick and lost.
Oh, okay.
it
Hold
on
on.
a plane.
Okay,
What? The head disappeared. He left it on the plane, or he took it on the plane with him, and somehow he left it on the plane. So somebody wrote a musical called Who Stole the Head of Philip K. Dick? And I've been listening to it. It's a radio play, and I've been listening to it, and it's extremely bizarre, and it's gotten into my brain. I was listening to it before I came on the show.
Yeah.
And so there is a character called the Quizmaster, and the Quizmaster rules everything. He is in effect the puppet master, if you will. So, ta-da. By the way, this guy Hansen just introduced two new, he had something called Sophia, which was like Philip K. Dick's sister. He made a female version, and he invented something called Frubber, which is not flubber, but Frubber. And he uses this stuff, and it's skin-like. And they have facial expressions. And now they have one called, damned if I know what the third one is called, but they have a new one that's made to be a health aid. And it's like Frank and the Robot. Remember Frank and the Robot, David Sheward? Frank Langella did a movie called Frank and the Robot about an old guy who was given a robot.
Oh,
I'm sorry, but it all just came tumbling into this giant.
That's from the quiz. Yeah, I was wondering where the hell this was going, but yeah.
Yes, that was it. Just about
Okay.
the Quizmaster.
The Quizmaster.
Watch out.
when
It
I
won't
make
be
a
around
detour,
for me, but when you guys get old, you know,
when I
that's
make
what you're
David?
gonna
Yeah.
get.
in and out real fast.
Sure, and that's how he likes it. Yeah.
I just say, Gina Lola Bricata, and that's the end.
And you say that against the backdrop of a brick wall, which I haven't seen before in your apartment.
It's not his apartment. He's visiting.
That-
Looks like a
That's why I haven't
fireplace
seen it before.
almost.
Oh, you're at your brother's?
Yes, that's my brother's. It is a fireplace.
I want your brother's house. It is beautiful. Like
Okay,
God.
tell him you said that.
Yeah.
Where does he live?
This is in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's
But you said
fine.
Bricketta next to the bricks.
We're
You said
gonna
Bricketta next to the bricks, which tickled me.
We're going to visit the Bidens later.
Are they really? Are they Delawarean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, he's from
they're
Delaware.
from Delaware.
They're not in Delaware anymore. They don't get to go back to Delaware.
Yes, they're
Well, once in a while, but they're originally from
Yeah.
there, no?
If he lives another 3 years, he'll go back to Delaware.
It's like the Bushes went to
Something like that.
to Maine, and
Are we all ready to adopt an Afghanistani family?
sure,
Or an Afghan family?
sure.
I am. Sure, why not?
Afghan-
I have a small one-bedroom apartment, but there's
I
room.
think we want to get to the next question, don't
Yeah,
we?
do we? Do we at some point? Oh, yeah, there's a game.
Sorry,
It's called
guys.
Today,
Sorry.
Yesterday. No. This
My
part
fault.
of the
Mea
fun
culpa.
is rabbit holing. And if you've ever done that, you know how painful it can be. But yes, but we do have a second round here to get into in the Today, Yesterday trivia quiz featuring David Sheward, Leslie Hoban Blake, and Moshe Denburg, who are all tied at 2. So we begin the next round of questioning with a question that goes directly to David Sheward. Okay, so this is yours. First thing is a multiple choice. September 4th, 1885. Opening today in New York was the first self-service cafeteria-style restaurant, the Exchange Buffet. The Clever.com lists 15 nasty things about buffet restaurants you didn't know. Which of these is not true?
Okay, what's
Well,
not
these are
about
true,
buffet
but one of these is not true. A, and this is about buffet, cafeteria-style restaurants. A, the food may be fresh, but your table was probably cleaned by the same rag that cleaned a dozen other tables that day. B, a chef who cooks with their bare hands has a 1 in 3 chance of giving you a stomach bug. C, the most unclean item you'll find in any buffet restaurant is a lemon.
Oh, don't say that.
D, because they're cleaned so infrequently, ice from 3 out of every 4 ice machines is actually dirtier than the water from your toilet.
Oh my
Wait,
god.
because they're cleaned so infrequently.
Yeah, the
I
ice machines,
I
right.
see.
So it's one of those is not true. The rest, God help us, are true.
Oh, now the lemon one is the one that leaps out to me as being untrue, but that means it probably isn't. But sometimes you got to go with your gut. That's the one that struck me. So I'm going to say the lemon is not true. That is not the dirtiest thing there.
I was going to make some kind of point about Monty Python's Flying Citrus, but it just no, I couldn't even go there. But no, that answer sucked, David Sheward.
Well, I had to go with my gut. And
yeah, no, absolutely.
It is appropriate for this question.
And here we get through.
What, is that true?
No, in other words,
it's true. Lemon is
true. That a lemon is a dirtiest thing you're going to find in the.
Why?
Well, it's just
Because it's hands. It's handled with, to cut little pieces. It's handled with your hands.
Oh.
I love to get lemon with my water, and I'm going to bring my own from now on.
Okay.
So here's the. I just rolled the die, and the die came up the number 4, which is David Sheward's number, but it's closest to Moshe Denburg. So, Moshe, would you like to steal this question?
I would love to steal, but let's hear the the choices, the remaining choices now.
Which of these is not true, according to a website called theclever.com about nasty things in buffet restaurants? A, the food may be fresh, but your table was probably cleaned by the same rag that cleaned a dozen other tables that day. B, a chef who cooks with his or her bare hands has a 1 in 3 chance of giving you a stomach bug. Or D, because they're cleaned so infrequently, ice from 3 out of every 4 ice machines is actually dirtier than water from your toilet. I'm assuming, and I will caveat this, water from the toilet, not like just after you've gone, but fresh flush.
Right, I understand that. Right. I'm going to say that the untrue. Well, I'm going to go again, like David had his gut with the lemon. I have my gut is with the water from the toilet. That's what I'm going to say is not true.
Well, I'm afraid your answer is not very nice, because it is a true thing, horribly, to say that they clean those things so infrequently that the ice comes out of it with God knows what bacteria that's just been sitting there in the machine. Leslie Hoban Blake, you can get 2 points here with the 2 remaining answers.
And also Tomaine, I don't go to those places. I mean, I used to do it, but I don't anymore. And especially since the pandemic, I will never eat from one of those again. And my sister always warned me about the lemon. She's a nurse, and she was always horrified when I would order lemon for my water rather. Okay, so I have the dirty tabletop or the dirty hands. Either way, it's dirty. Okay, so which is not true. I don't believe they're allowed to cook without gloves. I don't believe they're allowed to handle food without gloves. That doesn't mean they don't do it. But I believe that it's a state law, at least in New York, that you have to wear gloves if you're handling food, if you're cooking. So I'm going to go with the dirty tabletop. The dirty rag that washes the table.
No, you're saying that something is not true, Leslie. Remember
the other way. Okay, so the hands. Thank you, Moshe.
Thank you, Moshe. Thank you. So you're saying that the hand thing.
The hand thing is not true.
Well, but look at what's happening to this thing. Leslie.
Did you ever hear of crazy glue?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
Leslie, you deserve a hand for that answer. But here's the deal. What it is you would actually, in a weird way, prefer that your chef uses bare hands instead of gloves. Okay. Because what happens when chefs wear gloves, they're less likely to actually wash and clean. So they'll go from raw chicken to prepare food with the same pair of gloves and transfer all the bacteria. You're better if they're bare hands, they wash more often. So it's actually worse sometimes that they're wearing gloves.
You know, since the pandemic, I have mostly cooked. I do eat out occasionally, but I've mostly cooked. And I haven't I have had a few stomach issues, I'm afraid, but I haven't been sick otherwise. I haven't caught a cold. I haven't gotten the regular flu. You know, I've been healthier in those respects, not counting the cancer, which has nothing to do with my food intake. I don't believe. You know, I find that amazing. But I'm never going to go to a. Oh, did I do that?
No, I was knocking wood that you've been healthy.
Thank you. I thought you were showing me that I'd gone blank.
No, sorry. No.
Thank you for the point. The 2 points in any case.
Yes, well, you deserve
Leslie, you're ahead of us.
Thank you, Moshe. Moshe should get one of them because he alerted me to the fact that I was going down the wrong.
Well, David would
So
Dave
the thing
would
about
have
the
corrected
hands,
you.
the thing about the hands is not true.
That's correct.
Right. I made that
That's
up
not
about
true.
that.
I was almost going to go there, but then I thought,
So,
gut. You know
where
what?
we're going
David?
next?
Our guts are not reliable.
Yeah.
Well, mine is if I have coffee in the morning, my gut is totally reliable later on. You know, like,
But typhoid Mary passed along typhoid, not because she like coughed on the food, but because she didn't wash her hands.
wow. Okay.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Or her feet, which I don't know.
But it's interesting that it's pandemic, that at the beginning it was wash. I mean, we still wash our hands, use hand sanitizer, but that's not the primary way it's being transmitted. You know, contact is not the big deal that it was worried about at the beginning.
it's airborne.
It's particulate.
It's
yeah,
the particles.
airborne
Yeah.
particulate. Yeah.
Well,
And most of those places have a sneeze guard, which I think is hysterical. When I was growing up, there wasn't no sneeze guard on those things, and we thought the biggest kick in the world on a Sunday was to go for brunch to one of those places where you could, you know, take all you want from the buffet.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about how we ever survived.
Because
Forget the Black Plague.
Because you know why? Because we all grew up in a time when we weren't Purelling ourselves every 10 seconds. We had certain things in our bodies that was like, oh, there's some fly poop on this. It's still good. You know, and our bodies looked at it, and the acids in our stomachs went, we'll kill that, and eat the good food. You know, I think
that's David's health lesson for the day, is it? He's gonna stick by it.
You know what my grandma used to say?
What?
You gotta eat a peck of dirt before you die.
My grandmother said the same thing. Did your grandmother know my grandmother?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We're both working from a really bad cookbook, I'll tell you that. But we have a question now that goes directly to Leslie Hoban Blake. So you've already got the lead. You can really build on it if you get our
It's
mad.
hard to lose. I know. That's what happened last time. I know. All right, go ahead.
Wait, is it Leslie next?
Well,
I'm second.
Question
I'm
5.
third.
Yeah, I
Am I
chose
second or
third, David.
Yeah.
Remember?
Okay.
She's second. You just went first.
Well,
She got the steal because
did she steal?
I
Oh,
stole.
you're right. I screwed up the limit.
I'm a thief in the daytime.
Got it. Okay.
Got it.
I screwed up the limit. That's my question.
Here we go, Leslie. This is Mad Scramble. We've been doing these for
Oh, okay.
2 weeks. So
I don't mind those. You have to keep my hands up.
so glad you don't mind them, Leslie.
I'm not allowed to write it down, right?
That
I
is
have to do it
correct.
Visually, so you have to see my hands. Okay. All right.
So here's the deal. There is a clue, but then I will hold up.
These are my fake hands. The right hands I'm writing with.
The other have gloves.
Did you make it with marker?
I haven't. I did it with marker. It
Let
looks
me see,
pretty.
let me see.
Here, okay, here it is.
I'm writing with my elbows.
That's pretty good.
I know. That's what I was saying.
That's what she said. All right, here we go. Leslie. I turn away from the screen for 1 second, and I don't even know what the hell's going on.
I'm writing with my elbows.
David's having a stroke. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not even a nice thing to say as a joke.
It's like someone came back of
You look
Vietnam.
like an amputee,
Writing with
David.
my
It looks
elbow.
like you're an amputee.
I know, that's right.
It looks like he's doing some sort of new age dancing.
Well, speaking of amputees, Leslie, I hope you're not stumped by this question. So,
He's
Oh,
so
boy.
friggin' quick. It's so sad. Go ahead.
That's so sad. Thanks. Leslie, here's your mad scramble. Here's the clue, and then I will hold up letters, but you can't write them out. You can see them, okay? Last Sunday, the music world said farewell to a reggae legend, founder of the Black Ark Studio, where he produced his own songs and also tunes by the Wailers and Bob Marley. His nickname was...
Well, that's it. That was his nickname.
No, he wasn't Croatian.
Pull it back a bit. Pull it
Yeah,
back a
I
bit.
can't really
Pull it
That's
back
it.
just slightly.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
can't
That's
spell
good.
the letter.
Very sorry. Okay.
Thank you. but I can read them this week. Okay.
You're cutting off one, yeah.
Oh, am I? Sorry.
No, we see it all. We
No,
see it.
no, I can see it. It's okay, Joyce. Thank you. I can see it. I can't make out what it's supposed to be, but I can see it. Reggae. Excuse me.
Is it his Christian name or his stage name?
This is a nickname.
There is only one vowel in all of that.
Yeah, interesting.
I have no idea. I don't know where to put the A. I don't know where it come in the beginning. Does it come at the end? All right, I'm going to go with. It doesn't make any sense. Scratch. No, that's not right. S-C-R-A. I'm going to go with scratch. It's the only word I can make out of it. And I know that's not the way it's spelled. There's an extra C there. But I'm going to go with scratch because it's wrong.
Final
I'm
answer?
so close. I know I'm so close, right?
Oh, I think you got it.
Leslie, you have that certain magic, that certain itchcraft. Yeah, there are 2 C's in scratch. And
Good for you.
that is the
Oh,
word.
yes, okay, all right. I thought there was only one C in scratch. You're right. There are 2 C's.
Last Sunday,
David, she's beating up on us.
I know,
David, she's
right?
beating up on us.
She's got 6 points already. And by the way, it was the passing of Lee Scratch Perry, who died.
Yeah, that's right. Scratch. Yeah, I
Scratch.
remember
Please
seeing it
scratch.
on TV. Yeah.
So, well done, Leslie, even just by sort of accident, and well done unscrambling.
See,
Yes.
she had some extra.
Sure.
What?
She had extra sleep this morning. That's why she was late, and so her brain is working better.
She got 5 minutes
I
extra.
wish that should only be I should have gotten more sleep. I stayed up last night to watch Sandra Bernhardt's old movie. What's the name of that, David?
The Scorsese one?
No.
King of Comedy?
No, the one, no, the one of her one-woman show. What was the title of that?
Oh, Without You, I'm Nothing.
Without You, I'm Nothing. The most unbelievably, I mean, she was playing Diana Ross and she was playing Black women, and I can't imagine, they didn't show it with any kind of caveat about this is the way it was and blah, blah, blah. And I just waited to see how she was going to offend me next. And then she kept offending me next. And then she offended me finally. And I mean, I'm assuming that was the reason, but that's what I was doing, Moshe. I wasn't sleeping. I was freaking watching.
Well, something about it sharpened your.
I guess so. It got my bile up, so it must have been that. I don't know. Thank you, Moshe, for that.
Moshe.
Not at all.
I keep saying it wrong. I'm sorry, Moshe.
No, it's okay. You got it right.
Thank you for the compliment. I much appreciate it.
Not at all.
Well, here's the
All
deal.
compliments are gratefully appreciated. This part, yes.
Well, you don't need to be complimented. I mean, you've got 6 points. You earned them, Leslie. So far, you are leading Moshe and David 6-2 as we near the last question, or we go into the last question of our second round, which will go directly to Moshe. So, Moshe, you can get a couple of points here if you get this multiple choice question right. September 4th, 1919. In the city of Sivas, Kemal Ataturk and other nationalists began a week-long congress to decide the future of what would become Turkey. Which of these is not true about turkeys? A, there you go, Benjamin Franklin hated turkeys so much he invented a trap that could catch several at a time. B, female turkeys don't go gobble gobble. C, in the 1600s, English farmers would put boots on their turkeys' feet before bringing them to market. Or D, male and female turkeys have differently shaped poop.
Ew.
One of these, only one of these, is not true about turkeys.
Okay, so differently shaped poop for male and female. That's one thing. The boots on the turkeys for English farmers to bring to market is another thing. Then there was the gobble gobble that the females don't go gobble gobble. And the first one was?
Benjamin Franklin hated turkeys so much he invented a trap that could catch several at a time.
Well, Yeah, that sounds plausible enough. Then there's the gobble gobble. What's gobble gobble? They don't go gobble gobble. I'm saying that that is not true. The
You're
gobble
saying-
gobble, that the females don't go gobble gobble.
Well, but the males do. I'll add that in.
Nice turkey impression.
Yeah, that was very good. I like that.
I'd say that I don't think that there's in other words, you're saying that only the males, in other words, that was the statement there, that only the males do
Right.
and the females do not. Let's
Right.
see. I'm going to say that okay, then the third. Okay, so I have to reconsider now. The third one was about the boots to take the market, or put boots on the turkey's feet. And the fourth one was about the different kinds of poop. I'm going to say it's okay, the different kinds of poop. You know what? I'm going to go now. I'm going to recalibrate, and I'm guessing anyways. But so I'm going to say that the English farmers who put boots on their turkeys' feet to take them to market, that's not true.
Is that your final answer?
Unfortunately, yes.
These boots are made for walking, and that's what turkeys do. And I'm sorry to say that, Moshe, that question does not go to you. So I got to roll a die here. So that was a true thing. That actually, I'll explain when the question was done. There you go. Those boots are made for turkeys. Three. I rolled a number 3, which is closest to, well, it's closest to Moshe, but second closest to David Sheward. So David Sheward, you get to potentially steal this question.
All right, the choices are Benjamin Franklin hated turkeys so much he built a special trap to trap for a bunch of them at a time. That males and females do not go gobble gobble, but males do. And that males and females have different shaped poop.
Right.
Now, I think that it's the thing about Benjamin Franklin is that according to the musical 1776,
That's where I was going to, David.
he thought that the turkey was a noble bird and it should be our national symbol instead of the eagle, and that got a big laugh. And I think that part of it is true. So I think he did not hate turkeys; that he liked turkeys. Now he did make a trap to catch them because he liked them so much, but I think that number 1 is not true.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, if you've gotten that question wrong, I'd say go fly a kite. But you absolutely got that, David Sheward. Your theater knowledge came to play. Here's the
Anyway.
This is an actual quote from Benjamin Franklin, not from the musical, but from him. Quote, he wrote to his daughter in a letter, "I wish the bald eagle had not been chosen as the representative of our country. He is a bird of bad moral character. He does not get his living honestly. He is generally poor and often very lousy. And he's a coward. In truth, the turkey is a much more respectable bird and a true native of America." Unquote, Ben Franklin. So they took that for 1776 and then made it a joke in there. But it was true what he was saying about them. They do, what was it? The female turkeys, instead of going, can you do that turkey noise again that the males make? Oh, I love it. Females make a different noise. It's more of a staccato. I can't do it, but it's different from a male turkey. They don't gobble gobble like that. And male poop is J-shaped, while female poop is spiral or curlicue. Who knew? And this is great.
That's because we've had permanence. That's
And here's the deal. Farmers from many miles, 100 miles away, would have to bring their turkeys to market in London. There was a big, really wanted them. And how would they get them there? They would march them down miles and miles and miles over days. So they would put boots on the turkey's feet so that the feet wouldn't get cut up, they wouldn't get lame. Go figure.
What years are you talking about? Because I was in London during a Thanksgiving holiday one year, and we couldn't find a turkey for shit. They didn't even know what I was talking about when we said turkey. I wound up going to Joe Allen's to get an American turkey dinner in London for Thanksgiving, because
Yeah.
You couldn't buy a turkey.
I don't know. This was the 16 and 1700s that they were
Must have
doing.
been, somebody must have brought a turkey there.
They
So
named
are
it-
turkeys native to America or turkeys native to London?
And
yeah.
And how long did it take to make those turkey boots?
Right.
They
And how
have
long did it take to walk them?
grandma
What is-
turkeys are knitting these little boots.
Yeah, we used to
Well,
make
they're not
turkey-
talking. What is that you're holding, David?
This is my brother's little gnome.
Oh.
Oh.
And I'm here to tell you.
How well do you know him?
I know really well.
You're starting. This is great. Okay.
I used to make those turkey boots,
After the farmers went to sleep, right?
No, I don't have a mascot. Oh.
My little, yeah, my wife and I can't even get my hands together to get my knitting needles. Making the turkey boots.
He's a magic gnome. He don't need no fingers.
Oh yeah, I wave my wand and I say,
The magic gnome he is.
turkey? Oh, no, I'm not. That's my cousin who talks like that. I'm an American.
Do you know what people who really, really love turkeys join? A trip to fan club. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
A trip to fan club.
Was that
I
whole
love
question just so you could do that, Dave?
Basically, yes. But thank you for sharing everybody. By the way, here's the deal. We have a great game. We have a sort of it's a tier system here, and I'm tearing up about it. We have Leslie Hoban Blake with 6 points, David Sheward with 4, Moshe Denburg not too far behind with 2 points, but we still have a whole round to go through, God help us. So we're playing the Today Yesterday Trivia Quiz. Leslie, you have a question? Oh no.
No, I misread the thing behind you, and it said 14. I was going to say no, it's the 4th, but that's not what it is.
No,
I know.
Episode 814.
I stopped
David
myself.
Sheward.
I stopped myself. You insisted that I tell you. I stopped myself.
Thank you for stopping yourself. It is September 4th, 2021. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. My darling wife Joyce is here, and we are playing the Today Yesterday Trivia Quiz with David Sheward, with Moshe Denburg, and of course with Leslie Hoban Blake. So are you guys ready for round 3 of the quiz? Here we go.
As ever.
David's like, just get on with it. It's noon already. All right, here we go. This question goes directly to David Sheward. Okay. You have 4 points, but you can tie Leslie if you get it right. And this is another 3 clues in the news. Okay. And the clues are, okay, and this is more of a typical one. What do all of these have in common with another word? Okay. How do we connect? Not with each other, but with another word. Fin. Skin. Baby.
Huh. Fin, skin, baby.
Is this about the news?
Yes, and it is something that has to. It's not a big news story, but it was a story that's.
Well, this is like wait, don't tell me, when the last question in the quiz is like, some obscure thing that happens somewhere in the world.
I sometimes feel we're very like, wait, don't tell me, the one that got rejected before they took the
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you so much for that.
David, you could have a job writing for them. I tell you that all the time.
Fin, skin, baby.
Okay, the word that comes up is shark, and probably someone got bitten by a shark somewhere in the world, or a shark vomited something up or something. So I think it's shark.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, David, this game is going swimmingly for you. David Sheward, you are now tied with Leslie Blake. You get those 2 points. It was indeed, of course, the shark fin and shark skin and Baby Shark, the greatest song ever written in the English language. So shark happens to be in the news because, I don't know if you guys, I guess maybe you haven't heard, that 2 of the hosts of the TV show Shark Tank are being sued by people for fraud, and then saying they were promised to join a company thing, and this is like going to be accounted to. It's Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary.
Good.
And another more recent guy, Kevin Harrington.
Oh, well,
Don't know him.
I don't like him.
But Mr. Wonderful is so full of himself, he deserves to be taken down a notch or two.
Well, there's a
Kevin
couple of
O'Leary,
$1
Kevin O'Leary used to have this set to on Canadian broadcasting television with someone who was a little bit more from the left, and he would be along. He's the kind of greed is good kind of guy, and we have mixed feelings about him here.
Yeah.
So is Kevin O'Leary a Canadian?
He might be. He might be originally. I'm not absolutely sure, but I think he might
A
be.
bad seed, no doubt. Right.
a demon seed. That's
Yes,
right, Leslie.
yes.
They're accused
Devil
of
spawn.
They're
What?
fraud. It's a fraud thing. It had things to do with the show. They're being sued for having like a predatory scheme where investors kind of get involved in this company that they have, and the company kind of promises this and promises that about their businesses, and it's sort of like Trump University kind of.
Oy vey.
Okay.
Oy vey.
Yeah. So, but
Good.
well done, well
Good
done,
that they're
David.
being sued.
I'm sorry.
Good that they're being sued.
Well, if it's true,
If
and
it's
it's not like it's been decided yet. But I've always been kind of leery about doing business with them.
David, you did all that moving and came back to the same spot?
Yes, because I forgot my brother and my husband have gone out to get something to eat while I do this.
Oh, and you're starving yourself for our sake.
So
I love
just,
it.
I have the phone in case they contact me. I wanted to get my phone.
Well,
if Leary was Jewish, I tell him to go and daven really, really well on Yom Kippur. That's and
I
In
assume
my brain, Moshe, I was saying to myself, thank God he's not Jewish.
me too. Every time,
The old,
Because-
is it good for the Jews?
like our parents, especially, would have the saying "Nicht shame for the Yidden."
Is it good for the Jews? I know.
No,
I know.
it would be shame. In other words, if somebody, a Jewish person, is in disrepute, it reflects poorly on the Jewish people.
Right. And conversely, if anything in the news, the question is it good for the Jews? Doesn't matter what it is.
Exactly. Or
My
something. that
grandmother was
reflects
like
well.
that. I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you go when Bernie Madoff happened. I was like, oh God, no.
He made off with a lot.
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein. I mean, just like
the bad one.
yeah.
David Sheward, did you know Cynthia Crane?
The name is familiar. Was she a cabaret?
She's a cabaret singer. Her husband is Ted Story. They ran the IRT theater before it was not the Irish Rep, but the Impossible something theater, repertory theater or something years ago. Anyway, pardon?
The Interborough Repertory Theater?
No, it was
IRT.
Impossible or anyway.
Anyway,
Ted was the AD of that. They had a house on 11th Street when St. Vincent's was still St. Vincent's. It was the most amazing house. They had one of those like a ski house where the second floor was taken out, and somebody put a piano against the brick wall. I mean, they literally had a piano coming out of the brick wall. I felt like I was in Alice in Wonderland, and I would go to their like New Year's parties, and they had invested their money with Madoff.
oh,
They had to sell the house. The house was all they had left. Everything else was wiped out. And when they sold the house and they made some money, they had to give most of it back to that fund. They moved downtown. I haven't seen them in years, but I mean, it was the saddest thing. They did very well for many years, and that's not the point. They didn't know it was illegal.
Yeah.
They were.
I'm sure they sold that house for like $10 million or something.
Actually, I think it was more like 11, but they had to give most of it back.
Yeah.
Because it was considered ill-gotten gains, even though they had the house before, they raised their kids in that house. It was just, the only person I knew who got caught in that whole thing, and then they got caught big,
It's
Anyway.
tragic on a Shakespearean
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the son's committing suicide. I mean, yes, it's
horrible,
totally
horrible, just horrible. Yeah.
just totally Shakespearean.
Let's get back to Dave.
If not Greek tragedy,
It's Jewish tragedy, actually. But let's gosh, that was a downer. Let's get on to our next question in the third round of our game, which now Leslie and David Sheward, you are both tied with Moshe with 2 points. But Leslie, you can take the lead, and this is getting late in the game, so every point here.
I know it's mine to lose. I know it's always that way. Go ahead.
Well, you're tied, so here we go.
I know.
Multiple choice. The year was 1920. He wasn't horsing around. Man o' War set a record by beating Hoodwink by over 100 lengths at the time the largest winning margin in thoroughbred racing history. Although the race was at Belmont Track, it wasn't the Belmont Stakes. It was a different race, one that started in 1889 and lasted till 2005, which is, it's a very long race, actually. Okay. What was its name? A, the American Oaks. B, the Jockey Club Gold Cup. C, the Lawrence Realization Stakes. D, the Metropolitan Handicap.
I'm going to say it was the Jockey Club, whatever.
The Jockey Club Gold Cup.
Yeah,
Is that your final answer?
yeah.
Well, Leslie, I'm afraid your competitors now get to jockey for this question because that is not correct. So let's roll this one.
And I was married to a gambler. I ought to hang my head in shame, right?
Well, you distanced yourself from it, but it cost you on the question. So, okay, that was not. We rolled a 5, and 5 belongs. Oh, it's between David and Leslie, so it's closest to David. So, David Sheward, you get to steal this question if you can.
Proud. So let's read the
What are the remaining choices?
Man of War set a record today at. It was in Belmont, but it wasn't the Belmont Stakes. It was called either A, the American Oaks, C, the Lawrence Realization Stakes, or D, the Metropolitan Handicap.
So somebody set a record.
Man of War. Man of War was a horse.
Well, Man of War set a record.
Yeah.
And it was and it was not the Jockey Club Stakes, which was a British play on Broadway in the 70s, which was a big hit.
Yeah, okay.
With Wilfred Hyde White.
I didn't know that one at all.
The others, yeah, it was a big hit.
Total news to me too, Leslie.
It was a joke. It was a comedy about this. Let me see. So, Metropolitan
Handicap,
yeah,
the American Oaks, or the Lawrence Realization Stakes.
Lawrence Realization Stakes sounds weird. Doesn't sound real. Sounds like something made up. I'll say the Metropolitan what?
Handicap.
I'll say the Metropolitan Handicap.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, even though you did the handicap elbows before, that was not the correct answer. I'm afraid that they're crippled by that. But we have a steal opportunity now, and I do believe that steal goes to, is it Leslie? Or who hasn't answered or who hasn't tried?
No, it has to be Moshe because he's the only one who hasn't gotten it.
Oh, it's
So I've got the 50-50 here.
You do.
Okay.
You do.
yeah, maybe it's the turkey boot handicap.
No, I haven't knitted them yet. Now, what are the two last choices here, Dave?
So we've got the American Oaks or the Lawrence Realization Stakes.
The American Oaks or Lawrence Realization. And Belmont Park is in the New York area? Is that where it is?
I'll answer that. That is correct.
Okay. So it's the Lawrence Realization Stakes, and who the hell was Lawrence? And the other one is the
American Oaks.
American Oaks. I'm going to go with American Oaks.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
Well, I'm afraid you have branched out into an incorrect answer. That
We
really
all lost that one. How do you like that?
The
It was a
Lawrence Realization
Realization.
Stakes.
Oh, the
What-
one.
Who's Lawrence?
I know. I've no idea. And it lasted more than 100 years. It lasted until
Huh?
2005.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody put up the money originally. It was whose name was Lawrence.
Was it like Lawrence, Long Island or something?
I was thinking of that, but it was in Belmont, which is not that close
Oh,
to Lawrence.
Okay.
But by the way, these were other real things. The Oaks, California. Okay, the Oaks Day. Jockey is in Saratoga, and what's the other one?
Metropolitan.
Metropolitan Handicap is also at Belmont, but it's a different race. So
Listen, I spent my pregnancy at Aqueduct. Strange little women would come up to me in the ladies' room and rub my stomach for luck.
wow.
Yeah, it was not a good time for me. It was a very bad time for me.
It was a belly bad time.
That's where
It was.
That's where we got our COVID thing, David.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but Joyce and I got both of our COVID tests at really the greatest, most sanitary hospital in the world, Aqueduct Racetrack.
Aqueduct, right.
I'm not kidding. We drove down there.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. Well,
Wow.
I'm hoping we graduate next time. So if I have to get the booster will get at Belmont. We might then go up to Saratoga.
And then you have to do your flu shot somewhere else and you have the Triple Crown.
That's it. No,
That's a good one.
A booster for Gamma. We'll get that at the bowling alley. I think that's really the best place for it. So we have another question here. We still have Leslie and David tied at 6, and we still have, let's see how many more. This is the last question of the third round. This is really interesting. So this question will be going
And
directly.
that goes to David, right? Oh, no, it doesn't.
No,
It
to
goes
me.
to Moshe.
Yeah.
In other words,
Okay.
yeah, that's right, because it was your turn last time.
Yes,
That's
yes,
right.
yes,
I'm
you're
number
right.
3.
You're right.
So this is kind of interesting. Think of what could happen here. It's like if Moshe gets this right, we would still go into a tiebreaker because we have 2 tied people and wind up with like a freeway tie, or all sorts of things could happen. So here we go.
It's
Thank
not
you,
my day.
Joyce.
Not my day. Go ahead, Dave.
Well,
Let's have it.
We'll see. The year was 2012. Announced on this date, September 4th, by the University of Manchester, is a great new idea in consumer health and safety. What is it? A magic lamp that can shrink brain tumors with a combination of regular and laser light. B, a magic bullet that can be surgically implanted in a human heart and actually close a hole in it. C, a magic carpet that can prevent older people from falling by detecting changes in the way they walk. D, a magic castle, which is a room wired with sound waves that can drastically reduce the pain and frequency of headaches. One of those was announced in
They're all
2012.
very interesting things,
Wow.
Do you know what the difference between a neurotic, a psychotic, and a psychiatrist is?
$50.
No, almost. The neurotic builds castles in the air. A psychotic lives in them, and the psychiatrist collects the rent.
Mr. P.
I had never heard the last third.
I
of
was
it,
close.
so I never heard the psychiatrist
That
talk.
was close.
Yeah.
All right, so you the thing about the castle sort of got me. Anyways,
yeah.
you read them again. There's
Sure.
the magic
Magic lamp, which can
Lamp.
reduce shrink brain tumors with a combination of regular and laser light. B, a magic bullet that can be surgically implanted in a human heart and close a hole in it. C, a magic carpet that can prevent older people from falling by detecting changes in the way they walk. Or D, a magic castle, which is a room wired with sound waves that can drastically reduce the pain and frequency of headaches.
Which is true.
Which of these is true and was announced in
in
2012?
other words, what did they actually announce in the
What's real?
University of Manchester?
3 of these are fake.
Right, yes.
Well, 3 of them are not right. Are not
Right.
true.
Well done, Dave, in any case.
This is a great question. This is my favorite question of the, yeah.
It's actually very interesting.
First out for his nephew's wedding.
Oh, well, welcome, Stan. We just got
What was that last one with the room again?
a magic castle, which is a room wired with sound waves that can drastically reduce the pain and frequency of headaches.
I'm going to go with that one because I'm a musician. All right.
Ordinarily, a musician would be giving sound advice, but not in this case. That is not the correct answer. I'm very, very sorry.
I'm giving me a headache.
I don't get the fact that you're a musician, that would be your answer. I don't follow that logic at all. But
No,
okay.
it's about sound. I'm also a piano.
Oh, I see.
player.
Okay.
It has to do
forgive
with
me. All
sound
right.
waves, and
I was honing in on the headache, not the sound. Okay.
well, when you have nice sound and good music, it takes away the headache.
There you go.
Nah,
We
doesn't
have,
work like
I rolled, by the way, a 3, which is closer to David than to Leslie, because it's Moshe's number. But so, David Sheward,
All
you
right.
have a chance to break the tie right here and win the game, even before the tiebreaker.
Okay, which of these is true?
Oh, wait,
Is
wrong
true.
One, wrong one. Wait.
So give me the choices again.
I will.
There's 3 left.
A magic lamp that
Right.
can shrink brain tumors, a magic bullet that can be implanted in the heart and close a hole in it, a magic carpet that can prevent older people from falling by
That's an
detecting
interesting
changes in how they
That sounds really crazy because what would it make us? I mean, what would the carpet do? I mean, would it make a sound, say, "Oh, Grandma, you're about to fall. Watch where you step," or would it reach out and stop her from falling? I don't see how.
Well, maybe there's an electric sort of field that sort of that they figured out. In other words, your balance needs.
Don't
to be
help him, Moshe. Thank you very much.
The magic carpet.
You're right, Leslie. I'm too good. That's what they always said.
You are. You are. You have a big heart. I know.
The magic carpet sounds too crazy because I don't see how it would work. So that leaves the magic bullet, which is it's implanted in your heart and fills a hole.
Right, and
And
or a magic lamp that can shrink brain tumors with a combination of
I
regular.
like that one.
okay, I like those two, the lamp or the bullet, either of those that can shrink brain tumors with waves, right?
Right. Regular laser light.
Light.
Waves were the sound one. This is regular laser light.
Light. Well, I don't see how light, unless you're Donald Trump, I don't see how light gets in the body to do anything. So that leaves the bullet. I think it's the magic bullet.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Well, Leslie, you're going to get a bang out of this because David Sheward is not correct in that answer. It'd be great if all of these obviously were true. But Leslie, you have a 50-50 shot right here of winning this game.
I believe it's the rug because I think I read something about that actually. I'm not sure what it does. I don't know if it speaks to them, as you said, or if it gives them a shock or something, but there is supposed to be a rug that is helpful to older people and helps them. Maybe it's, I don't know. All I know is I read something about it, so I'm going to go with the rug.
Is that your final answer?
Oh, sure, why not?
Well, Leslie, I hate to pull the rug out from under you. You're right. You are correct. You got that question right. You have
Bravo, Leslie.
Yay.
Optical fibers in the carpet relay signals to a computer, and then they can detect gradual changes in the person's walking behavior.
And what the hell good does that do the person?
Yeah. What do they do to what happens?
I don't know. I guess that sort of warns the person that they're.
Well, it's like biofeedback or something like that.
Yeah.
Then they send somebody to pick them up after they fall.
After they
Because
fall,
it doesn't stop them from falling.
Help! I'm falling on the carpet and I can't get up. So I don't know, but
My friends, it seems that my victory last week was a true anomaly.
No, I'm very happy that you came back. You're very brave to come back.
yeah, and you did pretty well. You got 2 points this week.
I started out well.
David did 6. Leslie wins with 8, but we still have the tiebreaker question.
The break of the tie. Well, that's it.
We're not actually breaking any ties, but or even any cravats. But here's the deal. We're sorry about that. You've got your pens, you got your papers. This is what they're for.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm going to read a question. You're going to write down your answer, and then I'll read it again. I'll give a 3, 2, 1, and then you hold your answer up to the camera.
Okay.
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. The year was 1962. On this date, the Beatles record a song called How Do You Do It, which George Martin considers for release as a single. Instead, he chooses Love Me Do, and the rest is history. But he never gave up on How Do You Do It, which he gave to another band that had a big hit with it. Can you name that hearty group? I see the pens flashing.
I'm ready.
It's so rare when we get the silence on this show because I never shut up and it's like, it's pleasant. Let's just.
You want
David
some
is still
cricket noise?
scrolling.
We can give you cricket
Oh,
noise if
okay.
you want.
Here
I'm
we go.
ready.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to read the question again, and then on a 3, 2, 1 count, please hold your papers up to the camera. 1962 was the year the Beatles recorded a song called How Do You Do It, which George Martin considers to release as a single. Instead, he chooses Love Me Do as the band's first single, and, well, the rest is history. But Martin never gave up on How Do You Do It, which he gave to another band, and they had a huge hit with it. Can you name this hearty group? 3, 2, 1.
The Hardy was a clue, right?
Yes, it was the Artists and Capillary. Oh, Dave Clark. Oh my goodness. We have a winner of the tiebreaker, and that winner is Moshe Denburg.
Of course.
It was Jerry and the Pacemakers.
You gave me a musical
can hear it.
question. Thank
I can
you.
hear it. I just can't. I couldn't come up with the right.
How do
But you
do
see
it?
that the clue was a hearty band.
Yes.
As soon as you said
that's
hearty
right.
band, and you
Oh,
was
the
Jerry and the
Pacemakers. Oh, goodness
I
gracious.
should have said heart stopping band, but there you go. And the arteries and the capillaries. Well, let's
That's
see.
cute. Was that
I
an
knew
actual
it was
band?
a clue,
David?
but I didn't know
No,
where
I
it
just
fit.
made that
So.
up.
That's true.
What
No,
did you
that's
say,
another-
Leslie? What did you give? What did you give,
I
Leslie?
said the Dave Clark 5.
Oh, Dave Clark
I just
5,
guessed.
yeah.
I just guessed the
Yes.
British band of the
I
time.
think George Martin was not associated with Dave Clark 5 very much at that point.
Probably
because they
not.
were
I
kind
thought
of-
about that too. I
They
just
were in
couldn't remember who he
competition
was.
at that point.
Yeah. So
Right.
there you go. That fortunately, the tiebreaker doesn't count for anything except fun, and it's great that Moshe, you got those points. They're invisible points. They don't count.
I got the first two and the last two, or
There you
whatever.
go.
Like my points are not invisible. Oh, goody. Where are they? I want them.
Well, your points are under a bra, I assume, but I don't.
Oh.
Dear.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Oh, dear.
That's the low point of this program right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Back to
I'll go
Gino
along with you on
Lollobrigida,
that.
huh?
I'll agree with you about that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And the
Let me.
final score was what?
The final score. I mean, the tiebreaker didn't count. So it was Leslie with 8, David with 6, right up there, and then Moshe with 2. So you got it on the board.
Yes.
Oh. Nobody sees you when you do this, Moshe.
I don't trust David when he's so equanimical about this. He's kind of like, oh yeah, 6, eh?
Well, congratulations.
Well, so
We're waiting
Congratulations,
for next
kudos
week
to
to
you,
read you,
Leslie.
right?
Congratulations.
Leslie,
what?
you really showed us how it was done today.
Oh, Moshe, thank you. I mean, I
Congratulations.
might have with a knife in my back, please.
You're waiting for the knife to go in.
Is anybody else watching Only Murders in the Building besides me?
I don't get that
Yeah,
service. I
I'm not
want
watching
to. It
that
sounds
one.
great.
I heard
Fun.
it's really
It's
good.
great fun.
Well,
It takes place
Martin
in the
and
Ansonia.
Short.
Yeah. Yes.
Martin and Short, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Actually,
quite
Martin
fun and very
Short-
plausible in its own crazy way. Very
Yeah.
plausible. You won't know this, Moshe, but you guys might know. You know the Ansonia, the place that
Sure.
runs from 84th to 85th Streets on the Upper West
The hotel,
Side.
yeah. Or it's a hotel
No,
living.
not the hotel. I'm
Oh.
giving the wrong title. The Acorn. It's
Oh.
the Alcorn, the Althorp. It's that one that has 2 giant buildings and a courtyard in between. Sam Norkin lived there. The only reason I ever got to go inside was I was visiting Sam and we were working on something. So I got to see the apartment, which was unbelievable. And that's where they're shooting this. And that's where this takes place. So it's a small city. It's like a castle around a courtyard, Moshe. And it's one of the
Yeah.
biggest, oldest condo buildings in maybe it's a co-op, I don't know. But anyway, it's famous, and
I have
shooting
friends who
there.
live around there. Yeah, I have friends who live
Yeah,
around
well,
there.
it's but I mean, it's an amazing. They can't build anything like that anymore. Five room, 10 room
Wow.
apartments. Just extraordinary.
Wow.
So that's all. So it's wonderful to watch just for that, to be able to see the apartment.
Wow. I knew
Martin
Sam Norkin.
Short-
Oh, sorry, Moshe, yeah?
No, Martin Short, I just wanted to say, not only is he a Jew, but he's also Canadian.
Canadian, yes.
And one of the most underrated. He's kind of, I mean, everybody knows he's famous and stuff like that, but he's one of the funniest people alive. And he just doesn't get
Very funny.
the credit. He was, I saw he had that Broadway show. It flopped, but he was hysterical. He was in Little Me. He was
It might be because he has a very thirsty personality. That's what he portrays. Whether that's really him, I doubt that that's really him. But the character that he puts forth, even on shows, is the thirsty person, the one who always has to have the spotlight, the one who always, and it's not an attractive. It's not like Buster Keaton, it's not like Charlie Chaplin. There's nothing. It's just off-putting. Yes, it's off-putting in its own way, and he plays that character in the show too.
All of the characters almost all the characters in SCTV were like that, which was funny. Yeah. Not just Martin Short, but also all the rest.
But they played so many different characters, and they put on wigs, and they were girls, and they were boys. And I mean, they did a lot of things. This is since SCTV days. His persona in especially on talk shows, which is what you think is going to be somebody's real persona. I don't believe that that's his real persona. I don't think the man could have made it in the business as long as he has. It's more like a character that he plays, but even so, it's an off-putting character.
It was a very good, I think it was a 60-minute interview with the two of them.
Yes.
I saw an interview with Steve Martin and Martin Short. They were really, it was a good feeling. It was a good vibe.
And they've been working together for years. I'm sorry, David?
No,
sorry.
I was going to say, at the Drama Desk Awards, he was nominated for Little Me, and it went to Brett Carver.
Oh, for
Wonder
Woman? Yeah.
He lost. Brett Carver for Parade, I think.
Parade. Okay.
Okay.
I think that year. And I remember, and he, as a joke, was saying from the audience, no, I remember now. And Jason Robert Brown accepted for him because he did the music. And you could hear Martin Short saying, "I was robbed," in the audience.
Well, Brett Carver's another Canadian,
And unfortunately, we were on television then, the Drama Desk, but they didn't have enough cameras to get a shot of him in the audience. So that was, and he was doing it to be funny. I
know, and it was funny, but at the same time, it's like, it's like what Rabbi Sal Solomon would do, something like that daily. But there you go.
Talk about rabbis. Let me wish you all, and I'm sure you want to wish us all and everybody who is watching and tuning in, a Shana Tova Umetuka, a good and sweet year, and keep this virus far away from us.
Yes.
As they sang Fiddler on the Roof. Thank you, Moshe. Now, David, not a Happy New Year to you because it's not your holiday. Happy Christian something labor.
Well, I only get half of it. Dave Lefkowitz, I only get half of it. So I will take half a good year.
So a bittersweet New Year to you, Leslie Hoban Blake. Or just a Shana, not an actual Tova.
I get the Shana.
Every year.
I'm not going anywhere this year. My cousin usually does it, but I'm not traveling, so that's that.
Let me thank everybody. Let me also promote everybody. So first of all, ladies first. Leslie Hoban Blake, you're looking great. You're on Critics Circle, the podcast that is on YouTube. Have you done a new one this week with Charlie?
We've got our review of the finale of Schmigadoon up on YouTube. We were not happy with it. And so if anybody cares about watching it, you can see it. We love the first part of it, though. I don't know if anybody else saw Schmigadoon. Did any of you watch that?
David,
have you watched it? I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, well, the first 5 episodes are phenomenal, and then it falls into a pit somehow.
Watch it.
And we have 2 more ready to go.
Yeah.
But one of them we're doing is Beyond the Golden Age, which is the Rick McKay movie. And which is, Rick did a wonderful service by getting, by the time he got his first film out, like 40 people had already died, getting the older generations on camera before they went was a brilliant.
We actually got them to die on camera. It was an amazing. You just watch them go. And then
the way anybody in the business wants to go.
True.
The way Eileen Ryan actually did. Right.
So people can watch Leslie and Charlie talk about and review Schmigadoon and review. Was it Beyond the Golden Age? Was it called?
It's Beyond the Golden Age.
Beyond the Golden Age.
It's part 2 of the trilogy, but they'll never make the 3rd one. So.
Well, McKay hands it off to Ken Bloom or somebody, but watch it on Critics Circle on YouTube.
On YouTube.
And also all their old shows of reviewing theater you can find on the 2 on the Aisle channel on YouTube as well. David Sheward, So you are a blogger and a theater critic. So what have you written this week for theaterlife.com, culturaldaily.com, and the blog, the David Desk?
Well, on the David Desk, I finished up my reminiscences of while we're preparing to go back to the theater, which we're starting to do. So I did a series of blogs on shows that I've seen in my 50 odd years of theater going.
Some odder than others, yeah.
You said it, we didn't.
So I did all the Shakespeare that I could remember seeing over the course of my theater going, and dividing it into the tragedies, the comedies, and the histories.
Mm-hmm.
That's a book. You should put that in a book.
Yes, well, books
that
are
really is a book.
Find a publisher, Leslie.
It's easier to blog than to do a book. But in any event, and I did do a review of Passover.
Well, I can ask you now. Did you? The reviews for that show were mostly really, really good. Is it a fine piece?
Yes, I thought it was a very good show. And it's it'll be interesting because it has been done off Broadway before, but the playwright rewrote the ending in light of recent events.
I am not able to go to the theater right now. I am immunocompromised, and I may have to wait 6 months. I'll find out on Thursday. Whether I have to actually keep away. But Dave Lefkowitz, Charlie went to see Book of Morons, so we're going to be reviewing that. I will not review it, but it was lovely meeting Rob. We'd like to get him. We'd like to interview him actually for the show.
If you want me to get his credentials, just remind me.
Yes, please. That would be lovely. I would appreciate that.
And a lot of shows are coming up. They're beginning to make announcements, and we're beginning to get.
I just got invited to the Manhattan Theater Club is doing
Lackawanna Blues.
Lackawanna Blues, and I'd never seen. So I finally,
which I loved. I loved that show down at the Public. That was a brilliant show. And then he made a movie out of it.
Yes.
He took a one-man show and made a full-person movie out of it, which was also brilliant.
I
think he's an amazing man, by the way.
So there are
Santiago Hudson is whom they're talking about, by the way. Our friend of the Daverhood, who has been on this program. So yes.
Richard Nelson's final Rhinebeck trilogy play is coming up, and there's a new play at the Atlantic Theater Company, and a new one from New York Theater Workshop, which is going to be at the Lucille Hotel, called Sanctuary City. So things are beginning to happen.
They really, and as long as you're masked, go on in. You have to mask. It's not like just be vaccinated. You got to prove you're vaccinated and be masked the whole time.
Yes.
But hey, people are doing it. So Moshe Denburg, reminder, of course, that your band Tzimmes has a newly released album. I'm sure you have a copy ready to hold up. There it is.
I'll show you a copy in a moment, but can you see?
Oh, you're writing Tzimmes. It's the glow. There it is. Hold it right there. Don't move. TZIMMES.net. Tzimmes, like a stew. Tzimmes.net.
I found it on Spotify. It's on Spotify.
That too.
Yeah. Well, the actual whole album is not yet on Spotify. I still have to work through a distributor. But it is, if you go to Tzimmes.net, there's a click to Bandcamp. You can actually hear a couple of pieces there immediately. You could preview all the pieces on Bandcamp before you buy. So there's a lot. And of course, all the liner notes are downloadable, the album artwork. If you wait just a second, I'll show you what the beautiful CD looks like.
Yeah. And by the way, this one time at Bandcamp, I heard some music, world music, from a guy named Moshe Denburg. Nobody remembers
this. Is
all right. Here we go. There it is. There's The Road Never Traveled. Music by Tzimmes. It's a 2 CD set of, Eastern, Middle Eastern, Jewish, whole polyglot of music there.
And if you noticed, my literary critics, traveled is spelled with 2 L's in Britain and in Canada.
I don't know why they do that, but they do. Anywho.
That's quick, Dave. That's quick.
Folks, really, seriously, very happy Labor Day, very healthy, please, Labor Day, and New Year to 1.5 of you. David and Leslie, we hope to see you next week, either 10:30, 11, usual time-ish, to play again the Today, Yesterday quiz. Moshe, we'd love you also to come back. We're not sure next week, and we don't want to impose upon your time as a musician. We know you're busy too, but we'd love to have you back playing the game and get some revenge against Leslie.
Yes,
Listen.
yes, we have to have a grudge match. Although I have no grudge against
we'll
you.
do it at some point for sure.
Okay.
I just
It's
want to
been
thank
lovely
you guys.
playing with
Thank you guys for welcoming me into your neighborhood. And it's wonderful to speak to people from New York. As I told you, it's like one of my homes in this world because I have a very strong connection through my mother who grew up there and a whole bunch of stuff when I was a kid. So thanks for having me, Dave.
It's our pleasure and our honor. Thank you, Moshe, who is leaving the neighborhood as we speak. Have a great one. Happy New Year to you. And I will remove both Leslie Hoban Blake. Have a great, good, healthy week to you.
you.
And New Year.
Shana Tova to you too.
Thank you. There's Leslie. And finally, David Sheward. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you so much every week for being with us.
Thank you so much. See you later.
You too. And we're in the Daverhood with the 814th episode of the Dave's Gone By Facebookio Podcastio Programmio of the stream. I'm Dave Lefkowitz. My darling wife, Joyce, is still with us 3.5 hours into the show on this Saturday, September 4th, 2021, in For the Kill, in honor of our guest earlier in the program, the delightful Marie J. Kilker. Make sure to read her reviews at totaltheater.com. She's even written a couple of new ones recently now that she's going back to the theater in Florida. Plus, you can read her reviews of shows in France and 20 years of Sarasota area Florida theater, all at totaltheater.com. Just search for her name. So, of course, Marie, whom I've known for 30 years, is now finally a friend of the neighborhood. I've got to start, putting more critics and acquaintance friends on the show while I can. These people I've known for all this time, and I just never occurred to, hey.
I love that she said she has 2 neighbors from hell and 1 from heaven. That was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
I do love that. That's so great. So thank you, Marie. And she's a friend. Moshe Denburg is a friend now. Leslie Hoban Blake, David Sheward. Friends of the neighborhood are people who have been on this program in months or years past. And so we're thrilled to keep tabs on them, to let you know what they've been up to. If only the music would play. Oh, if only I would make sure to raise the volume on the music. That would help. Let's try this again. Thank you, Ludwig. So here's the deal. Want to let you know that now through September 19th, Edward Einhorn's play Alma Baya is it's no longer in person. It was done at the ART New York in Midtown Manhattan, but they finished it, but they taped it, and you can get to see the video of Alma Baya online through September 19th. Look for Edward Einhorn and the play Alma Baya as you Google. Letting you know that now through the 8th, David Sheward just mentioned this, the 8th of October, running now through the 8th of October, Richard Nelson's play What Happened is at Hunter College. Now, Richard Nelson has been following first the Apple family and then the Gabriel family of Rhinebeck, New York, these invented characters who are just struggling through the politics and the finances and just staying okay during these crazy times. And literally, they're up to the minute. So this will be during the pandemic. The latest play is called What Happened. Richard Nelson is a friend of the neighborhood, as is J.O. Sanders, who co-stars in the play at Hunter College. Also letting you know that with Broadway's reopening, playing at the Ethel Barrymore Theater on Broadway, and it's only now through January 9th of the new year, but Waitress is back, and it features our friend Dakin Matthews, so you're going to want to see that. Also, now through September 14th, they're having an auction at Bonham's. If you want to try and take a piece of memorabilia or bid on an item that belonged to the late Phyllis Newman, our actress, writer, friend of the neighborhood. So that is happening from Bonham's, including her Tony Awards. They're being auctioned through Bonham's for Phyllis Newman. Want to let you know that on Saturdays, including starting tonight, and then Saturdays in September, Eric Comstock is going to be at Birdland on West 44th Street. On this Thursday evening, Richard Shore is going to be playing piano for the Harvard-Yale Cantata at 54 Below. Anybody can go. It's the Harvard-Yale Cantata. Richard is actually flying in for the performance, so you're going to want to check that out. This is happening on Thursday evening. And then on Friday, and then next Saturday, 2 nights, Nellie McKay is going to be at Birdland. You're definitely going to want to see her. Now through whenever, Jim Caruso's cast party every Monday night at Birdland. A lot of things happening at Birdland. Go to birdlandjazz.com. What? Birdland is open. This is written. This is not virtual. All these things are actual in-person things, except Alma Baya. So go see them. Go see Nellie McKay. Go see Eric Comstock. Go see Waitress and What Happened. And also, if you are, though, checking out your computer, don't forget StageBuddy.com, founded by our great friend Evan Seplow, who has given me a bunch of tremendous advice about some stuff I want to work on. Dr. Demento, doing new and old Dr. Demento shows at drdemento.com, drdemento.com. Bob Cudmore, doing podcasts of upstate New York history at bobcudmore.com. And finally, I want to give a shout out to Stuart Brown, who founded a website a couple of years ago called soundsofbroadway.com. So if you love the theater, if you love musicals, this is a website, basically an online radio station devoted to Broadway show tunes, soundsofbroadway.com. And those, my friends, are the friends of the Daverhood. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is 20 to 1 already on this Saturday, September 4th, 2021. We're doing the Dave's Gone By program. By the way, I forgot to mention, among the friends of the Daverhood, don't forget that Rabbi Saul Solomon has his website, shalomdammit.com. Shalom, D-A-M-M-I-T, shalomdammit.com. It's the place where you can read and hear his rabbinical reflections. Those are mini comical sermons, or comical mini sermons, really. Also, watch his stage show, an early version of it that was done at the Richmond Shepherd Theater almost a decade ago, plus 10 episodes of his hilarious TV show that he did on Long Island Cablevision more than a decade ago. It's all at shalomdammit.com. And speaking of watching things, let's not forget one more time that davesgoneby.com is the repository of all things in the Daverhood, including just about every single show we have ever done. And yes, we have now done 814 of them. You can watch the last few years, they're video. The years before that, they're just audio. The early ones were an hour or an hour and a half. Now, of course, they're 3 or 4 hours long, but they're all there. davesgoneby.com. We also post them at archive.org, which is a not-for-profit archive website of entertainment and art from decades and centuries ago. Archive.org. Look for the Dave's Gone By channel. Look for the Dave's Gone By channel on Castbox.fm. So if you don't want to necessarily watch the show, but you want to hear it, the podcast, Castbox.fm is a cool place to just download us as a podcast. And then if you are on Long Island in Nassau County, and you get Altice Cable, if you're still one of those people who clings to having cable television after all these years, well, on Channel 20, on Monday mornings, 1 a.m., and Tuesday mornings, 4 a.m., I know, we're on. We have a 1-hour slot on each early morning, Monday at 1, Tuesday at 4, on Channel 20 on your cable channel. So especially if you happen to have off a couple of days this week because of holidays, tune in. You know, if you happen to be awake in bed, then it's like, what's on? And it's home shopping, and it's this repeat, and that. Oh my God, it's Dave. It's just 1-hour excerpts of the shows that we do you're best off watching them at davesgoneby.com. We also try and post all our stuff on YouTube as well. Basically, a lot of places, a lot of ways you can watch and listen to our shows and our interviews here in the Daverhood. If you want to reach me, davesgoneby@aol.com is the way to do that, or post your messages to me on Facebook, davesgoneby@aol.com. I get, people are saying, well, I would watch, but I don't get Facebook, or I dropped dealing with Facebook, and I can't watch the live show unless I'm registered, blah, blah. Fine. Remember, tell your friends if they want to watch the program and they can't join us live, they can go to davesgoneby.com for free and watch anytime that they want to. So it's davesgoneby.com, and our Twitter feed is Radio Dave 2. Radio Dave, the number 2. Well, my goodness, it's 1:45 in the afternoon. What a show we've done! How much fun we've had, and we're done, aren't we? Are we done, hon? Are we finished? Oh, that is the reminder bell to tell me that I've neglected the most horrible, disgusting part of the show, which is our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Every week I bring you a 5-line poem about a different place in Colorado. Could be a big city, could be just this tiny, tiny little unincorporated municipality. Either way, I've gotten dozens and dozens and dozens of them that I've been writing, and since they're limericks, they are a bit naughty and awful, but they're short. So, listen, you have to get the kids out. Oh, yeah, get the kids out of the room for this one, because we're going to Lone Tree, Colorado, for our Colorado Limerick of the Damned.
You're the poetry man. A limerick is a comic verse of 5 lines, in which lines 1, 2, and 5 will end with words that rhyme. And likewise, verses 3 and 4 also end with words that rhyme. So this is a limerick. Rocky Mountain,
Colorado, indeed. Yes, we go into the rocky shores of humor here on Dave's Gone By as we do our Colorado Limerick. So yes, you're thinking, what the heck rhymes with Lone Tree? Not much directly, but rather indirectly certain things do. So I've written a poem. Let me tell you a little bit about Lone Tree, Colorado, though. It's a municipality in the South Denver metro area. So it's got like 13,000 people in it, spread out over 10 square miles. So it's essentially like almost part of the Denver area. There's the Park Meadows Mall. There's a brunch chain called Snooze. Who knew? They have the Sky Ridge Medical Center and the Lone Tree Recreation Center. They have the Bolero Bowling Alley. Isn't that great? Bowlero, the Bolero Bowling Alley. You can also find a place there to go indoor skydiving, and they even have a 12-plex movie theater. So yeah, it's basically a city. It's only half an hour from Red Rocks, but it also has trails and hiking and hotels, a golf course. It's everything Colorado has to offer. Lone Tree, Colorado. The city motto, quote, "It's a great day to be in Lone Tree." There you go. And again, I'm sure it is. Actually, most days of the year, it probably is a great day to be in Lone Tree. Although it's not perhaps the best day, because now I'm going to read a poem about Lone Tree as our Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Each evening, a fellow from Lone Tree drinks up a whole pint of his own pee. Then, drunk on his piss, he gives me a kiss, but only right after he's blown me. And that is the Colorado Limerick of the Damned. Please send your comments and complaints to davesgoneby@aol.com or right here on our Dave's Gone By Facebook page. Check our Twitter feed, Radio Dave 2, for all things Daverhood. Well, now that does kind of end the show here. I didn't think we'd be back next week, but we just might. Next Saturday from 9 until noon or thereabouts for yet another, the 815th episode of the program, it remains for me to thank ever so much, first of all, Marie J. Kilker, for being with us, for sharing her stories, her autograph collection. Remember, you can read her reviews, and she's 88 years old, still going to the theater, still writing reviews for TotalTheater.com about shows in Florida. Kilker, Marie Kilker. Look for her on TotalTheater.com, and thank her so much for being with us in the Daverhood. Want to also thank, of course, David Sheward, whom you can read in his blog, The David Desk, and also in culturaldaily.com and theaterlife.com. Thank you to Leslie Hoban Blake, whom...
today?
I'm sorry?
Moshe?
No, Leslie.
Whoa.
Leslie, the winner of our Today
Well,
Yesterday
Moshe
quiz.
helped her with that question, otherwise
He
she would have
did.
got it wrong. He helped her.
But even so, that Leslie took it, man. So David Sheward, as great at the game as he is vulnerable. He does have that Achilles heel. We'll see who wins next time. But Leslie, make sure to watch her and Charlie Gross, another friend of ours, on their theater-related show and theater review show. It's called Critics Circle. Critics Circle. You can find it on YouTube on that channel. And finally, but not least at all, Moshe Denburg, whose band Tzimmes, TZIMMES.net, the band Tzimmes, their new album is out. It's called The Road Never Traveled. You're going to want to hear it. You're going to want to buy it. Go to Bandcamp or just go to tzimmes.net to hear some samples of it and order it. Thank you so much to Moshe Denburg. And who, by the way, brave guy. I mean, the guy won the trivia quiz last week and came back and they said to defend his title. He did not win this time. But boy, now he could have rested on his laurels, which is, I've done that and it's really painful. I get sores on my back. But he didn't. He came in, he played, and was a great sport. Thank you to Moshe Denburg. Thank you to my wonderful, adorable, lovely, beautiful, amazing wife, Joyce. Okay. Happy birthday. I think it is my Aunt Bonnie's birthday. So happy birthday to her. And a most happy and healthy Rosh Hashanah and Labor Day to all of you. And, of course, to our brand new Potato. Potato, how are you going to be celebrating the new year? Eating ketchup? Okay, and besides eating ketchup, what is it? Eating more ketchup. Well, I know you like ketchup, Potato, but, it's a new year. It's a special. It's a holiday. How are you going to prepare for a brand new year? Buying ketchup, eating it. Okay, he's a limited palate, ladies and gentlemen. He'll learn some stuff. Oh, and last thing. Since we have still a couple more minutes before 1 o'clock, even though we're supposed to be done by noon. Should I show this or save this for next time?
I think you save the joy. That might
save the joy. Let's just say.
Just show it briefly and then tell them. Just glance through.
There's this. I work in a school district, and this came yesterday as I was leaving for the weekend. Yeah, there's this. There's this. I think we'll save it for next time, and I'll talk more about that. Next time will most likely be next Saturday. I guess you add 7 plus 4 would be, 11? The 11th of September for the 815th episode of Dave's Gone By. Till then, make it a great holiday week, everyone, and gone by.
Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by. Dave's gone by.
Bye. Bye. Where's my ketchup? Bye. Love you. Okay, we love you too, Potato. See you soon.